President Trump says the Strait of Hormuz is open, except for access to Iranian ports.
The only one that has control of the Strait of Hormuz right now is the United States Navy. We have a blockade that's been infallible. It's a steel wall, and we let people in that we want to let in, and those people come in, and they've been coming in and they're going out.
This as Iran claims to control the strait and is demanding compensation from the U.S. for airstrike damage. President Trump says the U.S. will now make compensation from Iran for years of terror attacks, part of any future negotiations. A powerful earthquake that struck western Colombia now blamed for more than 100 deaths. That quake damaging hundreds of buildings, leaving many trapped under debris. Stocks finished lower, the Dow down 61 points at the bell. America is listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal. Book telehealth if she feel.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
August continues to do its thing on this Monday afternoon. Sunny skies, hot and humid. 98 for the high. It is nowhere near record heat. The record's 105. Tonight, clear, very warm, very humid, 79. Tuesday, do it again. Sunny, hot, and humid, 96. Do it again on Wednesday. Very warm, very humid, 95 degrees, but cooler Thursday and Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
It's kind of fun to see Fred play with one of the studio cameras here. I'm not convinced you know what you're doing with that camera.
I don't. I'm a radio guy, not a video guy.
Why were you touching that? I was a little surprised.
Because it was aimed at the top of my head.
Oh, okay, I see. Can you see that? Can you actually see that it's...
No,
you just
but I
see
can,
the aim points?
I just see the aim
points.
Okay,
all right, I got you. Yeah, the cameras, I think, like I have another one in front of me here that I think the mic has been hitting, so I'm not sure if we're going to be in focus or out of focus today, but good afternoon, everyone in St. Louis, as we get rolling here for a Monday edition of the Mark Reardon Show, and Sue Thomas is whizzing in at the last moment here. I don't know why I use that word, whizzing. That seems a little weird.
That seemed weird.
Yeah, to describe that. Look at you with your United States of America sweater on there.
You're all
like, you look like 4th of July right now.
I'm feeling patriotic.
You are.
Today.
Is there a reason in particular, or just the outfit?
Because I just thought, man, I need a sweater because it's 30 below.
Yeah, I know. Why would you wear a sweater when it's mid-August in St. Louis? Well, because it's 66 degrees in the 97.1 FM Talk studio.
Correct.
So you have to come prepared. Okay, that makes much more sense. That's cool. So, you guys, I got to tell you this. I have to give credit, I think, to Sue as we get going here this afternoon. I mentioned this last week. You've been my motivator. You want to know why? Well, because we were at your house a couple weeks ago. That was like almost 2 weeks ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful, and it was like everything was in place, and everything looked good. And I know that it's a newer, you just remodeled it, right. And I'm like, I come out of there and see it's all about me, Sue. It's not really thinking about the dinner and the wonderful meal and all that. It's like, man, my house is embarrassing right now. I got to do something about it. And I'm not even really kidding, because honestly, I want to have, we haven't done one of these at my house. What we did at Sue's is we had a bit of a Mark Reardon Show meal, if you will. Not only with current members, but Jane was there and producer emeritus Dave Klein. So I want to do one of those at my house, but my house needs about a month more work for me to take care of that. But
wait, I have a serious question.
Yeah.
You are a cleaner, so how is that possible?
Well, because some of this stuff is just bigger projects with, maybe it's painting or fixing things. Or here's what I did, okay? This is going to lead us into the conversation because what I did yesterday was power wash, Sue.
Ooh,
and
I love
there's
power
really
washing.
not quite any feeling that I can describe like it. A leaf blower is pretty cool, but the power washer, man, you get that thing in your hand. So, like in my patio area, and this is always amazing to me with the power washer, you look at your patio, concrete all the time, you don't realize how disgusting it really becomes until you start power washing it.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
Because so then once you get started, too, it's like, well, I got to do the whole damn thing because if I don't get all the dirt off, it's just going to look goofy. So I hit my house. I hit the, the patio. I did a lot of stuff with the power washer yesterday. One thing that was happening is I was telling Fred this. So we have a guest on the show later. Jessica McBride is her name. Jessica and I used to know each other very well in Milwaukee. She was a reporter. She's a really, really good investigative journalist. And she's been following this primary in Wisconsin, which we're going to talk about with Francesca Hong, who's been making all kinds of headlines because she's nutty, but she might still win tomorrow because the polling is in her favor. But we're going to have Jessica on. But when I was telling Fred this morning to invite her to the show, like one of the first things that I see on her Facebook page, and she posts a lot, is that yesterday afternoon, I think it was yesterday, Fred, she was stung by like 24 wasps. Like really bad. And I'm like, well, you can invite her today, but I'm not sure she's going to say yes. Well, she did say yes. She says she's in a little bit of pain still. But Sue, what happened was, so when I was kind of looking at the, it's just a tarp, like a gray tarp that's over my firewood. And I look on the far side of the tarp that's close to the home, and I see something on it. I'm like, what is that? I didn't even know what it was. So I go over there. Well, it was like a little wasp cone, whatever you would call it. And there were 4 of them on it. So they're like sitting there. So I'm moving. Yeah, right. So I get the old foam stuff, the wasp killer. It's great because this is where I was really armed. I had 3, don't ask me, I had 3 cans of the exact same thing.
I've done that.
The wasp and ant killer. It's the 3 things.
Yeah.
And then to make it even better, I couldn't even make the thing work. I'm so dumb that I had to wait until I actually think I discovered this on Saturday, now that I'm telling you the story, because I went to shoot the little foamy stuff. It wouldn't work for me, and I'm not smart enough to know how to turn the thing or click the thing. So then yesterday, I told my wife, I'm like, can you just help me with this? And of course, she did it right away. And then I hit the foamy thing. Those things, though, man,
they shoot.
They do. And then the wasps just sit there and they kind of gasp for life in their last breaths, and then they're gone.
Yeah,
then they did.
Yep.
But anyway, but I also did this. I have an outdoor speaker, and the cover of my speaker came off a little bit. So I took a mallet, Sue, sticking a mallet to the speaker, and like 4 wasps come out of where the speaker is. So I still think I have a little bit more work to do with the foam.
Spray the speaker. You're going to have to.
No, this is like what it is. I think is that we have a umbrella from our deck, which is in disrepair. That's if you guys do come over, there'll be like yellow caution tape and stuff like that.
I think we should wait a little bit.
We're not going to have the barbecue on the deck. We'll eat inside. All right. But the patio, what do you call that thing? The umbrella from the table is laying down prone on the deck, and I think they're inside that little, the umbrella.
They probably are.
Yeah, those little guys.
I like that you use the word prone.
But wait a second.
Made me happy.
Hey, hang on here. Somebody at this point should have really brought up that there's a big miss on the show today, right?
What?
What am I thinking?
Oh, yeah.
It's time for Insect News.
I did it in reverse. I didn't even think about that until just now.
Yep.
But anyway, I was just kind of recounting the weekend, doing a lot of power washing, and played a little pickleball, played a little racquetball. I played racquetball this morning, and we're in the tournament phase right now of the Summer Racquetball League at the MAC. And I had played this guy before. Yesterday, I got a win because the guy was supposed to play with forfeited. So that was a win. I was pretty good about that. So this guy...
Was it?
Well, I'll take it. So the guy this morning, so he played a 15, right?
Yes.
He served first. I never served.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
If it was like 15 zip, never served. I was so... And what kind of mood that puts you in at like 7:30 on a Monday morning?
Was he in the A group?
No, but I did score. Look, this is what sucks. I had him 10-8 in the second game, and I still lost.
Yeah,
It
that's
happens.
frustrating.
Fred, did you go to the Cardinals games at all this weekend?
I did not.
Okay, I
But
went
they were
Friday
good.
night. Yeah, it was
So at
pretty
least
good.
2 of them.
They took the series. I think it's important. Look, Colorado is one of the worst teams in baseball. However, having said that, if you looked at their lineup, they have. Look, I would expect that when the Cardinals get good, the Rockies are going to get good. They have a lot of young talent in their lineup. They just have a terrible record, and my guess is that the pitching quite isn't there. But there's some guys that can hit, and there's some speed on that team. Now we got the Phillies in town, so that will be pretty good here for the next few days. And I did get my my bobblehead the other night, Fred, even though they were nice enough to deliver a couple here. I got one for Joe Arnold down in Louisville because he wanted one. It is funny, though, because they don't look like Joe or Jack, either of them, on the bobbleheads. And what was fun on Friday night is Joe's kids. It's like Wyatt and what was the other one? Do you know, Fred?
I don't know.
They were doing, so they had one kid in there doing the regular lineups like they would with the U-Man, whenever that is in the 5th inning, 6th inning. But then they had Joe's kids kind of doing it back to back, one after one another in one of the innings, and they were awesome. They were really good.
Were they?
Yeah, they were putting
that's kind of fun.
their own stamp into it, a little flair into the introductions. I thought it was
I heard
great.
one of those in the TV broadcast.
Yeah.
In the background. And I thought, that's not just a regular kid. That kid's really good.
Oh, yeah. They were.
Seriously?
Yeah,
You
it
guys,
stood
how
out.
old are they?
I'm
Give me
6
something.
or 7 or something like that.
Oh, my gosh.
They weren't that old. Maybe 8, but
Joe threw out the first pitch.
he did.
And he got it over.
neat.
He got it over.
He looked very happy.
He was more
celebrating
worried
with the
about that
family.
than he was his speech at the Hall of Fame.
Did he say that?
Yeah, he did.
Really?
Yeah.
Aw.
Well, I know that
and he,
feeling.
And he got it over.
Yeah. I know that feeling. I've
That's
been
cool.
there. But see, if I ever got invited to do it again, I'd approach it completely differently because I just freaked myself out. It was a mind game. All right, we got a lot of stuff going on. The president had a little chat with the media a little earlier. He signed some executive orders on vaccinations, and we do have a little on Iran. In fact, we're going to talk with Jim Talent this afternoon, former United States Senator from Missouri, coming up at 3:30 with the latest on what is being described as low-keying it with Iran. I'm not sure how that's going to work out for us. In the first segment coming up here, this is a story that I never even got to last week, and I really wanted to talk about it. And honestly, the first response I had when I saw Neetu Arnold post this, she's going to come up here in a couple of seconds, I'm like, this has got to be a joke. There's no way that this is serious, that the University of Michigan is not putting first semester grades on college transcripts because the snowflakes need to be coddled. Wait till you hear this story. This is really quite something.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. We got Jim Talent coming up, a Monday edition of Sue's News. We're going to get back into one of the things that happened over the weekend. Did you see the foul against Sophie Cunningham?
No.
Oh, my
I
God.
heard about it. That's all I've heard
by
about.
Dijonais. That's what I'm going to call her, Dijonais. So her own coach threw Sophie Cunningham under the bus. It was this blatant foul, okay? And the chick, we'll call her Dijonais, was kicked out of the game. But afterwards, the coach for the Fever said this.
I don't think that Dijonais intentionally came out to get her across the neck like she did, but it did happen, and I thought it was the right call. But, one of the things about Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup, and so I don't oppose the hard foul.
Whose coach are you?
Good grief.
By the way, Fred, you saw the play. That was not a hard foul.
Oh, no.
Was it a
vicious.
clothesline?
It was a vicious attack.
She took by the head. She tried to tackle her, essentially. It's not even marginal, which is why she got kicked out of the game.
Good grief.
And I'm, MAGA Barbie is what they're calling her, after the game hearing my coach take up for Dijonais instead of me. Some of this stuff has just gotten crazy. It really has.
No,
now the WNBA issued this statement the other night. Oh, we're pro-trans, blah blah blah, but they're not pro Sophie Cunningham. I'll tell you that much. But we're going to have a lot of discussion on that coming up at 4:30. Go ahead, Sue.
I just wonder how much of this they just keep. It's the only attention they get.
Well, they should be reveling in it. But you know what else happened with Dijonais? This is maybe the worst part of it. I don't think I told you this. That she's with the Chicago Sky. Okay, so she's ejected from the game. She goes out on Truth Social, I think that's where it was, and she puts white privilege. Threads. It was on Threads, not Truth Social. Threads. She says white privilege. And even that, you don't get any pushback from the coach of the Fever. That's really amazing. So some of that stuff, and now you have another a former NBA player that is declared for the WNBA draft. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're off and running here. It's a Monday edition of the Mark Reardon Show.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
If you are westbound on 70 out of downtown, it's a good run. You can go all the way out through Wentzville, and it's fine. 64 westbound, a little bit slow, and that's mainly at Prospect. Now, southbound 270, some moderate volume just before 44. We look fine on the bridges downtown. But, of course, there is road work. Eastbound 64, 157 to 159, and a slow go there. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Termites cause $5 billion in damage to homes and businesses in the U.S. every year. Call Point Pest Control now at 636-798-0023 and reclaim your space from unwanted pests. That's 636-798-0023. PointPestControl.com.
Really, guys, this is an awesome offer from Game Day Men's Health. I want you to take advantage of it, especially if you've even noodled on the thought of TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, because if you want to feel a little bit more energy, feel like yourself, every year you get a little older, you don't have as much testosterone naturally as you did when you were younger. Maybe you need some optimization. They can help you with that at Game Day Men's Health. And they can help you right now with a free 1-hour visit. You make an appointment, you go in, and they'll draw some blood work. Within 20 minutes, you'll get results. If it's not TRT, if you're interested in other services, and they have a ton of them, anti-aging and longevity, weight loss, they have microdosing GLP-1s as well, hair loss, regrowing, sports injury recovery plans, sexual wellness and ED, and vitamins and peptides. Did I make that announcement yet? That's something that's kind of blown up quite a bit. So make that appointment. It's free. They'll give you a plan. You'll experience what they call the game day difference. Really, there's a difference even in the quality of the office that you're going to be in. It's a man cave environment. They have medical professionals, their own pharmacy, which gives them a big advantage as well. It's just an awesome, awesome experience, and you shouldn't be intimidated by it because they're going to take great care of you. Game Day Men's Health. Book your appointment today at GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
License number GL2500615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do, until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
If you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peters did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We still have no Ethan Hannaford. He's been out. He was sending us some lovely pictures from Fenway Park over the weekend, Sue. That was kind of fun to see.
Yeah, that was cool.
He'll be back on Wednesday. James O'Sullivan is doing some great work behind the scenes here while Ethan is gone. And Fred will join us, of course, in the next hour as we get into the 4 o'clock hour with Sue's News as well. So I retweeted this last week from Neetu Arnold, and I think I said, I hope this is a joke. And I think she responded right away. This is not a joke. She is a Manhattan Institute analyst. There's this new policy at the University of Michigan. We're going to have Neetu describe. Neetu Arnold, how are you? Welcome back to 97.1 FM Talk in St. Louis. I hope you're well.
I'm doing well. I hope your mental health is well after reading this policy, Mark.
This is nuts. So, honest to God, I thought this was like the Babylon Bee when I read it. So it kind of took off. I think you were one of the first, I think, to break this, and I saw it go a little viral over the weekend. So tell me what you discovered here.
Yeah, so the University of Michigan, starting in the fall 2027, they're going to start excluding first semester grades for freshman students in the College of Literature, Science, and Arts. Students can still see their grades and get feedback from professors, but those grades will not count towards their overall GPA.
What? So wait, I don't even know how to ask a question in the follow-up to that. So like when I went to the University of Missouri, now mind you, this was a long time ago, but you had to have a 3.0 to get into journalism school, all right? I wasn't exactly an A student in high school. So those first 2 semesters meant a lot to me, the first 4, because that's what I had to have, to get into J school. Boy, I would have loved to have that policy back then, especially in my second semester. Didn't do so well in that. But is this something that happens at other schools? Do you know?
Very few schools, as far as I'm aware of. We see it at places like MIT, Caltech. I know Johns Hopkins had it for 40 plus years, and then they got rid of it because the professors saw that it really wasn't helping students overall. I know this comes up, like some people say, well, we're seeing MIT do it, so why can't Michigan? And I'll just say, MIT does consider the SATs an admissions and objective metric that isn't affected by high school grade inflation. Michigan is not. Michigan has made SATs optional, so I think there is a clear difference there.
So when they say this is for the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts, that's just a small portion, though, of the offerings at the University of Michigan, right?
I wouldn't consider it small. My understanding is that is the largest college at the University of Michigan.
Yeah, that would make sense because there's a lot of things that fall under those umbrellas, right?
Yeah, that's why it might be one college, but it's not a tiny college.
So they say beginning in the fall of 27, they'll designate all LSA, that's the Literature, Science, and the Arts, first-year students, first semester grades as pass or no credit on their transcripts, while LSA students will still receive grades and instructor feedback, as you indicated, Neetu. They'll always have final grades will not be recorded on their transcripts. So that is quite something. Now, this is due because of their mental health. That's what they're citing, right? They want to make sure that they curb the mental health crisis unfolding among college-age individuals.
I don't buy it.
I don't either.
Neither do I.
No, I saw that. That's what stuck out to me when I saw this policy. I said, that's an excuse. I think the university is using mental health as a smokescreen to avoid a much harder conversation about its admissions policies. Mm-hmm. As I said earlier, Michigan they made SATs optional during admissions. Other universities that have gone test optional have admitted students who are struggling, especially during those first 2 years. And so I think covering grades, that's the policy, is Michigan's way of addressing the student preparation gaps without reconsidering its admissions policies.
Wow, that's a really good point.
Well, and you've done a little bit more in-depth research on this because I know that there was a piece earlier this summer about grade inflation. And I've talked about grade inflation before. I've seen other professors that have, written about grade inflation being very concerned. But this is going on at the same time as not having grades, which is kind of ironic, isn't it?
It is. And I just have to say, I think some of the people who are saying that Michigan's policy is going in the right direction, I think at the end of the day, they don't really care about grades. I think they would prefer if universities were not recording grades. And so to me, this is a step in the direction of, it's an ungrading policy. I think this is a step that makes it easier for universities to justify getting rid of grades altogether.
How can you do that?
How can you do that? And if I'm a gunner, if I'm a person who has worked actually hard to get there, and then I really focus and do everything, then I get nothing so that other people can feel better about it. This is so annoying.
That's a great point. It's backwards.
Well, I think the idea is that you graduate with your degree, and your degree speaks more than whatever grade you got in a class. But I think what people forget is that the grades are tied to academic rigor. They are one way we communicate that. And, we can't just rely, the university didn't just get its reputation just on its own. There are a couple of factors that are building that reputation.
Yeah, so in what's happening here, though, this is the other thing that concerns me. So you have the grade inflation, you have getting rid of grades altogether, and then you have AI. And, there have been a couple of professors, I don't know if you've seen any of this coverage in the Free Press, but a couple of people have come forward to really highlight some of the obstacles that they have with kids, trying to root out the cheating with AI. And what they found is a lot of kids are cheating with AI.
Oh, yeah. And I think a great way to address that issue is just to have more in-person exams. Maybe if you really are insisting on having at-home homeworks, maybe have the student present in front of the class, or, try to find a way where you can actually tell if the student knows what they've done. But I really think just going back to more in-person testing and just making sure that the universities are, they are having consequences if you're found cheating. I think that it's just going back to the basics there.
I've heard a lot of professors, I don't know if you remember this, Sue, if you had these, but like when we were back in the day at Mizzou, we had what were called blue books for the tests, right? So you would do your essay tests in the blue book. And I've heard that some professors are going back to that for the in-class testing, because then you can really see maybe what people are made of. Although I will tell you this, that I feel like I did much better in college because of the Blue Book, because I could write and I could BS when I was writing. So I think that helped me.
I get it.
I had writing skills, and I think that the writing skill, you couldn't read it if you, that might have been the other portion of it. Like my handwriting was so bad, the professors might have just given up. I think that's a possibility too. Neetu, great work here on the investigation. Thanks for jumping on here with me on 97.1 FM Talk. Appreciate it.
It's great to be here.
All right, take care. I mentioned some of the cheating scandals. I want to go over this one. We had some audio of this last week, but this is quite something. So it was Dr. Jason Gibson, who is at Alcorn State University, and he caught 32 of 35 students using AI. What he did was, remember this?
Yes.
He embedded the word Madagascar into a discussion prompt using invisible white texts. So human students could not really see it when they highlighted the text, and if they put it into Gemini or whatever the ChatGPT, whatever the service was, it would put, because he actually said, well, put that word into the discussion. And when they did it, that was proof that they were using the AI prompt and that they were cheating.
Yeah.
32 of 35 students. That is unreal that's the number. I'm like, I could see a quarter or maybe even a half, but the overwhelming majority in Alcorn State University is a, pretty well-respected small liberal arts school. So that's crazy. Now those students did fail,
Good.
So that there's a consequence for that, but there's professors are going to have to get even better and better at that, I think, when it comes to the AI. All right, we're kind of take a break here. Iran is still a big question mark. The president chiming in a little bit on that. I don't know that we ever heard anything new from him today. He keeps talking about hitting them hard, and they keep hitting us back. We're talking about that with Jim Talent coming up next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we still look good on westbound 70 out of downtown all the way out. Little slow at Wentzville. 64 looks great until you get out to just past Lake St. Louis Boulevard, and then we've got a bit of a slow go. Southbound 270 is starting to line up, headed for Manchester. At this hour, though, it really is just moderate volume, and it's a little slow at Gravois. We look good through North County, but on the Illinois side, eastbound 64, jams 157 through 159. This report is brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Overhead Door Home Refresh Rebate. Call now and get $500 back on a qualifying garage door with a qualifying purchase. Must be made by September 30th. Visit overheaddoor.com to learn more and schedule a free estimate. I'm Sue Thomas with Traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
A collision with a semi-truck changes everything. The injuries, the trauma, the questions. They don't wait, and neither should you. At Kaufman Townsley, we understand how serious trucking accidents are, and we know how to fight for what you deserve. We're from St. Louis. We're in the courtroom when it counts, and we don't stop until justice is served. Kaufman Townsley. Real people. Real results. Call 314-777-7777.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
Do you have any evergreens in your yard? It might be time for a health checkup. Mark Cox here for Hanson's Tree Service. My friend Chad Hanson tells me he's been seeing a lot of evergreens dying due to environmental issues from the last couple of years. A winter drought 2 years ago, combined by a very wet spring, is wreaking havoc on a lot of these evergreens. Let Hanson's Tree Service help. Call them today at 636-379-1830 or online at hansonstree.com.
Get ready, St. Louis. Rock legends Three Dog Night are bringing their chart-topping hits live to the factory. Hear the songs that defined a generation. Joy to the World, Mama Told Me Not to Come. One, live on stage Sunday, August 16th. Don't wait. Get your tickets now at thefactorystl.com. Three Dog Night, live at the Factory, August 16th. Get your tickets now at thefactorystl.com.
Homeowners, a lot of you are worried about one thing when it comes to selling. That's leaving money on the table. Hey, it's Mark Cox, and I'm with Gloria Liu, your home sold guaranteed realty. Gloria, how do you help sellers make sure they're getting top dollar?
The reality is, most homes don't sell for what they should. I see it happen all the time. They either price it wrong or they don't create enough demand. But with over 2,400 buyers in my buyers in waiting database and my exclusive pricing strategy, I'm able to offer my seller a 100% market value guarantee. And if I can't get you 100% of your home's market value, I'll pay you the difference. So you don't have to wonder if you left money on the table. You can sell with confidence, knowing you maximize your sale.
Make sure you get every dollar for your home. Call St. Louis real estate expert Gloria Liu today at 314-325-6888 or visit gloriahasthebuyers.com. That's gloriahasthebuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
3:33. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly. Heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
Freedom has a frequency. 97.1 FM Talk. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Yeah, a little bit of news today about someone that we know locally. Our friend Will Sharpe has been elevated to the position of Chief White House Counsel, which is a pretty big deal. He was in the room today when they were doing some of this stuff on executive actions with vaccines. But the president was also asked questions on other topics, including Iran.
You said this last round of talks was Iran's last chance before decapitation. So what now? What comes next?
You'll find out.
Are you still, are massive escalation, is that still on the table?
Well, we have that, certainly that ability if we want to do that. Yeah, you'll find out.
You said you're low-keying it with them, that you're semi-negotiating. What exactly does that mean?
Well, they asked for reparations, you might say, or they asked for money for the damage that we've done. I said, that's a good idea. Well, we're going to ask for money for the damage they've done over a 50-year period. Whether you go SS Cole or whether you go all of the people that were so badly hurt, so badly wounded or killed, many thousands of people, and maybe damages for the 52,000 protesters over the last 4 months that were killed in Iran. We think their family should get damages for killing their person or their child or mother, father that were protesting. It's at least, it was 52,000 a month and a half ago. So now what is it? So if there's damages to be paid, I think Iran should pay those damages.
Well, I don't think a lot of people in this country would disagree with that. Former United States Senator from Missouri, Jim Talent, back with us this afternoon. Hello, Jim. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, Mark. I wouldn't disagree with it either. I'm with you on that.
What does low-keying negotiations mean right now to you? And is this, just part of the process? Because, again, the president's been very repetitive in the last couple of weeks, and we haven't seen any, in my estimation, anything that would put the final nail in the coffin here for the Iranians. And then I don't even know what the status of the strait is. I mean, I don't think it's open, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think about 8 million barrels a day is coming out. And, of course, the Saudi and UAE pipelines are carrying more oil. That's why oil is hovering around 80 instead of going up over 100. I think context, I always talk about the context of this, Mark, at least briefly. I mean, the object of Operation Epic Fury, the kinetic phase of this, was to destroy their capabilities as a nation state to attempt to dominate the region. And it did that. It did it in about 40 days. And I could go through the list. I mean, the missiles, the Navy, the nukes, and most importantly of all, the military-industrial base that they were using to produce all that. So after that, the Iranians decided to play the only card they have left. They can still threaten coastal shipping, and they did it. And hoping that they could leverage a lot of dollars out of us so we could rebuild. But the president has no intention of giving them that. So I think the negotiations are an attempt to see if they want to go back to the MOU, but this time for real, where they allow the oil to flow and we lift the sanctions. They don't get assets unfrozen. They don't get their rebuilding fund, but we let them ship some oil. I think the president would like to get the price of oil down, and some of that is political. And I mention that because after November, he'll have a freer hand. But no, I'm very happy with what happened in the initial phase, and fine with letting the president have running room with how to, what to do with it at this point. I mean, he has a lot of options. He could unleash the Israelis. We could go after more of their economic infrastructure, or he could do what he's talking about today, which is unfreezing the assets and using it to pay off victims of their brutality.
So I guess one of the questions I would have is, why don't we make a decision on that and figure this out and get it done? You already kind of even said something about November. I mean, that indicates it's not going to be a time frame that, was even close to being described a few months ago. And I know these things take time, but I mean, we seem to be having some of the same conversations week after week, which is what I think is frustrating to me and other people, because you don't really know what defines winning.
Yeah, well, actually, here I'll take issue with that and I do this because I think a lot of people, not you, but a lot of other people are going so far as to say the mission was not a success. From the beginning, what we said was we're out to destroy their capabilities. I mean, Rubio said it, Hegseth said it, the president said it, everybody said it, and we did that. Then I like to think of this in two phases. Then they threatened the strait, which they've done periodically over the last 47 years, and we've been managing that problem. Now, why we don't hit them with these other things, I think the reason is once you use that, you lose it as a negotiating leverage. And I think the president does want to quiet the strait for a couple of months. As I said, I think some of that is political because it's pretty clear now that concerns about a worldwide recession or something like that are not going to come true. The price of oil has been stable enough and low enough to prevent that. So, listen, I would not kick if he wants to let him have it again with something else. But at the same time, I think he's been successful enough as a negotiator that I'm going to give him running room.
So when it comes to the running room, one of the things I think that's confusing is, are we talking to the right people? Do we think we're talking to the right people? And a lot of that, when I read about this conflict, there's still only theories on that, right? And maybe those people that are doing the actual negotiations certainly would have a better idea. But we don't really know who we're dealing with, right?
Yeah, well, there are different factions. Now, no, let's assume, and I very much believe this is true, okay? Let's assume that their economy is being strangled. I mean, they can't ship oil. The real is trading at 2 million reals per dollar. Essentially, the currency is worthless. There's a faction there that they're all hardliners, but there's a faction there that wants to say, okay, look, we need to get some money. If he's willing to let us ship oil so we can get some money to start paying our people and to prevent the population from getting too restive, let's just do that and let's wait Trump out. In other words, let's let's go off the radar screen and hope we can get somebody better. And I think that's the faction that we're aiming at. That would be a powerful argument, even for the IRG. It's like, look, if we don't do this, we're going to go bankrupt. They just froze the assets of the Iranian oil company because their debts are so great. I mean, this economy is in great danger. So, I mean, look, would I try and finish them off? I probably would, with a combination of things. The president's doing that, but he's doing that with the rhythm. I will say this, Mark, if they hit Americans again, they're going to get hit back. I mean, I think he's established that principle pretty clearly.
Well, let's hope so. Let me just quickly, while I have you here, take you to Russia and Ukraine, because there was a drone strike that was north of Moscow that was pretty effective. There were at least 13 people killed. Look, every time you think, and I've made this statement over this conflict over the years, I just don't see the possibility of Ukraine winning. And then we found out about all these drone strikes and what they're doing, and they continue to have an effect on Russia. Now, the story in the New York Times says that the Russian economy might have actually benefited from oil prices and the instability in that market. But what do you think about Ukraine continue to go at the Russians this way?
Yeah, the problem they got is that their refining capacity has been very substantially degraded because of these attacks. One of the big things the Ukrainians are trying to do, and this is the result of us lifting restraints on their use of the material that they've gotten through us, combined with their ingenuity, which is really just remarkable. So they're cutting off the Crimea logistically. So to resupply Crimea, you either have to ship it across the Black Sea, which they can't use. Their whole Navy's bottled up now. All their vessels are bottled up by the Ukrainian drones, or there's a couple of bridges that you can use, and those have been hit. And so Crimea is, I don't want to say it's dying, but I mean, they can't resupply it. And that's the pressure the Ukrainians are putting on them. Now, can they win? Can the Ukrainians win? In the sense of retaking the territory, probably not. But in the sense of changing the facts on the ground and the amount of damage they're doing to the Russians to get the kind of deal that President Trump's been aiming at from the beginning, yeah, I think they can get that.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible.
Now,
it really is.
It really is. Now, Putin is talking a lot about a full mobilization. He's never fully mobilized the economy and the country because he's afraid. He doesn't want to start having to take people from Moscow and St. Petersburg and, use them as cannon fodder. So he's talking about doing that. So really, I think the next step is up to him. And what one doesn't know is what kind of information he's getting. He can't be completely isolated from what's happening. So it's a fluid situation, and looking up for the Ukrainians.
Yeah, I would say so. It's interesting, even in the past couple of months, to kind of track what's going on over there. Jim Talent, always great to have you on as we start this week. We'll see if we get any more answers, but I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Jim.
You're welcome, Mark.
All right, take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
70 westbound looks great. Out of downtown all the way out through Wright City. 64, we've picked up a little bit of volume at Clayton Skinker, but then things open up and look fine until you get to about Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Now, I just need to remind you that the ramp from southbound 270 to westbound Manchester is closed and will be through Friday. They're just doing some serious maintenance on that ramp. Right now, we've got a little bit of moderate volume in that area. 55 is in great shape. And if you are headed into Illinois, we're fine on the bridges. 64, though, eastbound slows at 157, goes almost to 159, and that's due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Never miss a beat. Take 97.1 FM Talk with you. The voices you trust, Mark Cox, Annie Fry, Mark Reardon, Scott Jennings, and more are just a tap away with the Odyssey app. Stream 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Brought to you by USPS Ground Advantage.
Pump up the volume. Business moves fast. Pump up the volume. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Visit USPS.com/groundadvantage to learn more.
Let's talk about having and taking a multivitamin as part of your daily routine. It's important to do that as you get older in particular, and this is why I'm going to talk about Neovite men's 50 plus and women's 50 plus, because as you get a little older, you're going to need some different nutrients that might be kind of falling through the gaps because, like, if you're like me, you like to eat donuts and sweets and stuff like that, not necessarily all good for you. So sign up online at neovite.com because you can get a subscription. You save 10%. They have a great nutrition newsletter that they'll send you. And you don't have to worry about this. They come to your door every month. You can also buy in bulk and save some money that way. They have options for you. The regular formula, the women's formula, the women's 50-plus formula, the men's 50-plus formula. And then a few years ago, they introduced the Neovite fish oil tablets as well, which don't taste fishy. They taste like citrus. So if you're looking at a physician-formulated multivitamin that's going to make you feel a lot better and fill those nutritional gaps, and some of the money goes to cancer research here in St. Louis because it's a local company, you can't do better than Neovite. Get signed up today. Go to the website, neovite.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
ZipRecruiter.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I'm transgender. I identify as sometimes identifying as a woman for purposes of basketball, professional basketball. So I'll be declaring for the WNBA draft in 2027 as well.
Well, it was Enes Kanter Freedom, now it's Royce White, who are declaring for the WNBA draft, trying to maybe make some points here that are not appreciated, I'm sure, by the league because they issued a big statement the other night in the aftermath of everything that's happening with Sophie Cunningham. And then after issuing that statement, I would argue that things got worse for them with this whole situation with Dijonais, as we'll call her, and Sophie Cunningham, and Stephanie White not even taking up for her own player, which is kind of amazing when you think about it. So Royce White and, Enes Kanter are trying to make a point here. Here's what Royce says.
I'm just having a blast in my feminine era. I think it's only fair I get a chance to play with some of my queens here in the twilight of my career, my athletic prime.
So, I know it's kind of fun and games and they're, I think they're poking fun here, but they're also, trying to make a point. And I think the point is important. And I'll be very curious to see how the WNBA responds. Did you see their statement from the other night, Sue?
No.
Okay, let me see if I can pull this up because they went on their website and said all this stuff that seemingly really didn't be in any way, shape, or form supportive of Sophie Cunningham, but really supportive of the rest of the league and people that are, on the other side of this, which is, hey, let's welcome trans players as much as possible. Let me see here because I got to make sure I read the right thing. I can't find this here. Here it is. View this post on Instagram. See, I'll do it as best as I can here as I'm punching around, and that is not working. Hold on a second here. It might just be the iPad that's working slow here because I really do want to read you this particular tweet that they sent out or Instagram post because it's, again, it's not supportive of the women. It says, to everyone who loves this game, the WNBPA, the Players Association, represents 200-plus individual people with different lived experiences, cultures, lifestyles, and opinions. We embrace justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Those are the values that unite this union and allow it to protect women's sports while creating transformational change. That's an interesting word, right? Hate, abuse, and demonization of any person or group of people including transgender people, only fuel fear, division, and harm. We will continue to have hard conversations, but we will not be used as political pawns, they say. Support the players, support the fans at games, notify security if you witness hateful, violent, or abusive behavior. Are you kidding me? Like the owner of one of your franchises shouting down to 16-year-olds and making one of them cry, right? At home, tell your elected officials to strengthen Title IX. Really? Seriously.
Wait a minute.
That's what we've been trying to do.
Seriously.
It's unreal. You know, the thing about that is, and I have a great...
that is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And you add that to the Dijonay's attack over the weekend against Sophie Cunningham, where she basically tried to tackle her head. She wasn't going for the basket. She wasn't going for the net. So, you know, we are big fans of the Babylon Bee, which is kind of like the modern-day Onion, right? So here's their take on this. WNBA player Caitlin Clark explained in an interview with Time that she has been the beneficiary of white privilege, which strangely feels a lot like getting the crap kicked out of her by giant black lesbians. Though she admitted that white privilege was a bit of a nebulous term, Clark explained that she seemed to most often experience it as getting punched in the face or elbowed in the stomach. That's because Dijonay goes up on Threads in the aftermath of taking Sophie Cunningham down in this game the other night, and she puts out there white privilege, hashtag white privilege, like somehow her getting kicked out of the game for a flagrantly violent foul is somehow based on race. I mean, at what point do the people who support the WNBA and support all this other nonsense have to come out and say somebody's going to get hurt here? Yeah. And this is really one of the more stunning parts of this is the coach, Stephanie White of the Indiana Pacers, because not the Pacers, the Fever. Sorry, we're talking about men's professional league there. She doesn't even back up her player. She doesn't back up Sophie.
I don't think that Dijonay intentionally came out to get her across the neck like she did, but it did happen, and I thought it was the right call. But, you know, one of the things about Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup, and so I don't oppose the hard foul.
Oh, well, is it white privilege, Coach? Because that's what she said it was. Back to the Babylon Bee. The fact is, Caitlin says, I clearly have experienced white privilege. No one else gets beat up routinely on national television by enormous black lesbians, explained Clark. That's obviously a privilege that I have being white. I recognize that this league was built by these gargantuan lesbians, and we must honor all the work they do by punching me because of my skin color. Though sociologists stated that white privilege could manifest in many forms. They agreed that sometimes it does feel like getting shoved to the floor on a basketball court. It feels different to different people, explains sociology professor Dr. Ray Adams. For some, it may be that you do have to worry about security at a store eyeing you suspiciously. For some, it's being wrestled to the ground and having your eyes poked out by a 200-pound black lesbian. It's highly variable, Sue. At publishing time, the WNBA had reported excellent progress in its 10-step plan to becoming irrelevant again, which, you know, that's the other thing about this is somehow I would hope that somebody in a room is saying, hey, we can be arguing about all this stuff, but we're never probably going to have as much attention on this league as it's getting right now.
Correct.
So maybe instead of putting out statements that don't support the players and support the trans people on the sidelines for whatever reason, maybe you think about the fans. Now, I think the fans to a certain extent on some of this stuff have been brainwashed as well. You know, you're going to boo Sophie Cunningham just because she's the bad girl of the team, which is fine. But I'm surprised that a lot of this has, taken on the flavor of pro-trans in the States. See, they're not going to have you take down those signs. But remember what happened with Jen Say and Riley Gaines last week. They try to go, I think it was the Minnesota game. So they try to go to the Minnesota game. There's simply a sign that says, "Dear Sophie, thank you," from a mom, and it didn't say anything hateful. Nope. There was nothing else on the sign. And a security guard goes up to them and says, "You can't have that sign because it has her name on it." Are you kidding me? What other professional sports, league has a sign policy where you can't have the player's name on it, right?
Yeah,
that's
it
very
doesn't
unique.
exist.
No, it doesn't exist. It's idiotic. All right, we'll come back here after the top of the hour. And did you hear about this toddler that kept the plane from taking off?
What?
Oh, yeah.
No.
I got that for you here. We got Sue's News. We have Matt Sharpe, who's with the Alliance Defending Education. He'll talk about Sophie Cunningham and the WNBA. And Frank Cusumano's here. The Cardinals took the series over the Rockies over the weekend. Philadelphia in town tonight.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we've got some volume out there. Now, 64 westbound is Picking up moderate volume approaching Hampton out through McCausland. Eastbound a little slow at 270. Then it really lines up Prospect out through the 70 split. Westbound 70 looks good out of downtown. Southbound 270, little bit slow, especially at the Clayton Road overpass, and then it opens up, slowing again at Gravois. 55 is in good shape despite multiple construction zones. We're fine on the bridges headed into Illinois, but 64 eastbound really jams 157 through 159. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Honey, I found the one.
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Oh, you are, but this one's certified, background check, shows up on time, and can install all the ceiling fans.
Heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Trusted pros who do it right.
Well, I was at the west location of the MAC this morning playing a little racquetball that did not turn out very well. There's always some great events going on, and I want to highlight one here that happens every year, and it's coming up before you know it, and that's the Women of Distinction Awards Luncheon, which is on October 2nd. Now, that's at the Downtown Clubhouse every year. The club honors 4 outstanding women from the region and 1 rising star for their vision and mentorship in business, civics, and philanthropic endeavors, and that's going to continue. You can RSVP for that if you go online. You go to the website. You can also find out more about some of the charities that we help every year, the children's charities. It's the MAC Charitable Society for Children, which is an extension of the Sports Foundation. This year's charities, Books for Newborns, a great organization for moms and for kids that are trying to bond at birth. You also get the team here in St. Louis called Joshua's Great Things. They help kids and families with brain cancer. Missouri Kids Coalition is an organization that helps young athletes who suffer life-altering injuries get them back to independence, living their best life. Always great stuff going on and great organizations being helped at the Missouri Athletic Club. You can find out more at mac-stl.org today.
Aging control systems can increase downtime and cybersecurity risk, especially in operations that run 24/7. Graybar helps organizations evaluate automation architectures and support the right upgrades, whether through incremental updates or full system replacements. The result is better visibility, stronger reliability, and a scalable foundation ready for what's next. Yep, Graybar does that.
For the last 33 years, you've discovered that at Banner Construction, we pride ourselves on quality craftsmanship. We believe the single most important decision homeowners must make when considering an exterior restoration project is who do you hire. At Banner, we provide well-engineered, meaningful, long-term solutions to transform your home into the pride of the neighborhood. Let us help you fall in love with your home all over again. Call or visit bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
One of the biggest gifts you can give your family is peace of mind. That's why I trust and recommend Civia Law. They've helped so many families, including mine, right here in our community with estate planning, wills, trusts, powers of attorney, and elder law issues. I've seen how stressful it can be when a loved one passes without a plan. Families are left confused, sometimes tied up in probate court, and it can cost so much in time and money. But with Civia Law, you don't have to worry about that. They'll walk you through everything and even deliver your completed documents in just 2 weeks from your first appointment. And here's something special just for you. Mention the Annie Fry Show, and the first 10 listeners right now will get a free strategy session. That's a $300 value. 833-995-WILL. Just be sure to mention the Annie Fry Show when you call. Civia Law has 7 convenient locations across Illinois and Missouri, including in Edwardsville, Swansea, and Creve Coeur. Secure your legacy and protect the people you love. Call 833-995-WILL. That's 833-995-WILL or visit civialaw.com.
Hi, this is Kelsey Grammer. When military service members head into battle, none are expected to face the enemy alone, but many return home and become isolated as they struggle with the visible and invisible wounds of war. It can be difficult knowing how to overcome that challenge and rekindle bonds similar to those formed in the military. Wounded Warrior Project supports these injured veterans through their recoveries by connecting them with fellow warriors and their communities. No one should fight this battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Hey, we have a Monday edition of Sue's News coming up. Also, this story about this toddler that kept a plane from taking off. Everyone's nightmare. That's coming up after Fox News, which is next.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
It should be up to the parents. Lisa Brady, Fox News. That bottom line from the Trump administration on vaccines as the president signs an executive order aimed at reducing the number of vaccines recommended by the federal government for all children from the current 18 down to 11, also allowing more time between vaccinations and splitting the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine into separate shots.
So we're reducing them. We're changing it to visits over a period of a year and a half. So they get 20% of what they would have gotten in one big shot.
The president framing the changes as essential for the ongoing research into autism.
So there's a reason for such epidemic rates of autism.
Suggesting a possible link, even though decades of studies have not found one. Some states have made their own vaccine recommendations after a previous effort to change the federal vaccine schedule was blocked in court. This as the FDA proposes a rule aimed at requiring food manufacturers to provide safety findings for new ingredients to regulators, ending a loophole for items deemed generally recognized as safe.
Will change how the federal government oversees what's in our food and how we understand the foods that Americans eat.
Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says the FDA is also still working on a first-of-its-kind definition of ultra-processed foods, which he says can make up nearly 70% of children's diets. A new demand on both sides after Iran said it wants compensation for U.S. airstrike damage.
And I said, that's a good idea. Well, we're going to ask for money for the damage they've done over a 50-year period.
President Trump pointing to years of terrorist activity from roadside bombings to the attack on the USS Cole. He's also still not ruling out a major escalation as a tug-of-war with Iran continues over terms of a possible deal, including the Strait of Hormuz. America is listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Here's the tale of the daily med fill. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Tap Good RX, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. The deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang. That one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check Good RX. Good RX is not insured.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Summer still has the lock on our weather. Partly to mostly clear skies. It's warm and it's humid. Steam bath weather continues. 79 for the low, but the city will hold in the 80s all night long. On Tuesday, sunny, hot, and humid. 97 for the high. 104 the record. It's an old one, 1881, so it's safe. Tuesday night, partly cloudy, warm, and humid. 79. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, here we go. Second hour of a show on a Monday afternoon. Sue is hanging in here with Fred, the Hall of Famer. Ethan's off for one more day. We got James in the other room holding things down for us here as we work our way through this Monday afternoon. And it looks like the sun is finally coming out a little bit. Look, the forecast for today was going to be pretty hot. My guess is that we qualify for this right now. I'm going to just take a shot.
It's so damn hot. Milk was a bad choice.
What do you think that feels like temp is right now? Let's guess. If it's triple digits, that fit. That's kind of the rule. Yes, it feels like 107. Ugh.
Wow. I tell you what,
that's not good.
Jana and I walked Forest Park today at about 10:30, and it was really close, But boy, it wasn't as bad as now. But by the end of that, oh.
So I went to Soccer Park out, right past 44. And 44 and 270.
This morning?
No. Yesterday.
Oh, okay.
At 3 p.m. in the afternoon
Right.
to watch an outdoor soccer game for my nephew. And it was like 95 degrees getting out of the car. And then sitting in the hot sun.
Oh, Fred.
So that was brutal.
Yep. That's I'm going to a baseball game tonight, but at least we'll have some shade, and I think I'm in a suite, which is good. That's
okay,
good.
we have an extreme heat warning until 8 p.m. on Wednesday.
Do we really?
Yeah.
Again? Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't
It's just
either.
super sticky.
I don't care for it.
You got your dew point, which is real high, but I don't know. September will be here before you know it. So I saw this on Fox this morning. Fred, did you see the story about the toddler that kept the plane from taking off? And I think we've all we've all had it, either experiences like this, or I will tell you just as a parent that it's like your worst nightmare. Like I remember the first time I flew with Alexa, maybe the only time I've ever flown with her solo. All the other times, Becky's been with her or with us both. But when she was about 1.5 years old, my wife was working out in Denver, and her cousin lives in Boulder. So I left here with Alexa. So she's like, 18 months old. I'm thinking, oh my God, how's this going to go? And it did. It went well. It went really good. She was great. But I've seen kids not do so well, and it's your worst nightmare if you're right in front of them and they're crying the whole time. So in this particular case, this was a cross-Canada flight that actually had to be canceled because there was a kid that was just going nuts. They tried to leave in British Columbia. They're trying to go off for Toronto, but the crew was noticing this. I don't know if they say exactly what the age was of the kid. And they just say toddler, but what was happening was he would not, or she, I don't even know if we have the gender here, plus does it really matter at that age? They can change their gender as, interchangeably as often as they want. But they saw the kid standing in their seat and would not put the seatbelt on. So they had to tell the parents, you got to put the seatbelt on. Well, they tried, but the kid was just going nuts, so they had to abort takeoff. Now, the question that would come to mind here is, why wouldn't you just take the parents off, right? And then let the rest of them go. But they say that the aircraft could not take off in an unsafe condition, so the crew elected to return to the terminal and have the passengers disembark.
Jeez, how mad would you? Oh.
Well, and then by the time that everyone's deplaned and they fill out, I guess there's paperwork, it's 12:30 a.m., the runway's closed down, so everyone had to reschedule the trip for the following day. They had to stay in Victoria and then get back into the air that next morning. So they canceled to all the, to all the passengers, but what are you going to do? Now, in the story here in the New York Post that I have, they talk about, I don't know if we heard about this one. On Reddit, they wrote about it. It was a flight to Sweden that was an hour behind because of, quote, incompetent parents couldn't make their 3-year-old, quote, brat sit in his seat while the crew was prepping for takeoff. Apparently, he was too old to safely sit in his parents' lap. So after much screaming from the child, the parents were forced to deboard. We then had to go through the whole thing of refueling, weights and rebalance, removing their bags, etc. Oh, my God. And then somebody said, I would seriously pay to go on adult-only flights. I've only had a couple of experiences where the kids have been really good. And one of these happened, and I've told this story before, it happened on an international flight. I was coming back from Europe with my brother and with my wife at the time. And there were kids that were in back of me. There was this kid that was kicking the back of the seat. And, I let it go for a while. And then I turned around and I said, and I'll never forget this because I said, this was way before misgendering was a thing. You have to think about this. This is literally 35 years ago. I said, do you think you can get him to, stop? And the dad or the mom goes, her, or it was vice versa. Whatever it was, I misgendered the child, right? And so I was, the first time, it's kind of like talking in a movie theater to a certain extent, right? You kind of shoot a glance or you say, hey. So, I'm like, hey, is there any chance? Well, it wouldn't stop. And then as you know, because you guys know me, there was an international incident. And, at that time, I didn't have kids. And the dad or the mom says, well, if you had children, I'm like, well, I certainly would act better than you. And then I ended up moving my seat. It became, because I couldn't take it. I was so pissed off at him. And they didn't give a crap that the kid was kicking the seat.
That's
weird. I get that it's a kid and everything. But if my kid's doing that, or even Alexa pulling on.
Knock it off.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you had to do. So that was kind of fun when that happened. But I've luckily, none of my children have ever had the crying jag or the complete fit. Now, I will tell you one thing, going back to the movies. I remember taking Evan He's my oldest. He's 29, right? So I started taking him to movies when he was 2 years old because I was reviewing films at the time. And the rule that I had is you cannot talk, cry, walk around in movies, right? Well, we had to you had to break him into this a little bit. And even with Alexa, I don't think she made it through the first movie, the whole way, which was fine. But he was talking, and I took him out of the movie theater. I don't even know what movie it was. This kid, I put him in his car seat. He somehow worked his way out of his car seat. He's literally climbing on the back windowsill in my car, screaming. I mean, this was like an epic Hall of Fame level fit. I had to pull the car over because he had worked his way out. He was so mad. And he was like 2.5 years old.
Holy cow.
So kids, I get that kids have moments. And if you have one of those on the plane, then yeah, but how about the parents leaving? Nobody else.
How about you tell your kid to knock it off
Well,
like a normal
look,
person?
that's not – look, when these kids are going just completely nuts, and I remember a couple with Alexa where it was just like – and I was at the age finally, I'm like, I can't, get all stressed out about this. But sometimes, Sue, they go nuts.
So that reminds me of a story like 20 years ago. There was a well-known CBS radio correspondent, Dan Raviv.
Yeah, I know
was
the name.
in town. Yeah. So I took him up to the top of the arch.
I remember
so
this.
We get into the capsule that takes you up to the arch, and a family gets in with us.
Oh, no.
With a crying toddler.
Right.
So for the entire trip up to the top of the arch, it was just screaming that you could not avoid, and it just echoed so bad.
Oh, gosh.
In that capsule as he went to the top.
Well, and I can kind of see why a kid would freak out. I can actually see why anyone would freak out. So then that would be incumbent upon mom and dad. Let's not torture our children and go up in that capsule, right? But you had to take the whole trip with them.
Oh,
that
yeah,
way.
no choice.
My friend Karen from high school has 2 boys, and her husband is a pilot for United. So whenever she would fly with the 2 of them, obviously it was just her, she said she would, before they even got on the plane, she was lecturing everybody. And then when they got on the plane, she said, I was just so keyed up and worried about it. I've got 2. It's only me. Husband's he's somewhere. I don't want anything bad to happen. So you have parents like her who, obviously, if the kid's going to have a fit, but she would at least try to do something. In your case, it's like, yeah,
They
let
didn't
the
really
kid
care.
kick. That's
right.
terrible.
No. Well, and in fairness here, we're talking about kids. I will say this. I've had far more issues with adults acting like children than actual children over the course of my flying career. Okay, just real quickly here. This is sports related, but a little bit outside of the realm. And Cusumano's coming up a little later this hour. We got some Cardinal stuff to talk about, et cetera. But there was a Hall of Fame weekend for the NFL, and you had Drew Brees went in, which was pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly,
like
and Roger Craig. And Adam Vinatieri. And Adam Vinatieri, did you know this? Or Fred and Sue, I would say, but maybe Fred because you follow sports a little bit more. He's only the 3rd kicker to ever go into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
yeah.
Let me guess. Was Garo Yepremian one of them?
No, he wasn't. Hang on here. I have the story because I was actually surprised
San Francisco
by that.
Kicker, probably. George Blanda?
No.
Who?
I'll find out here. Let's see here because they said it in one of the stories. But let me play you what he said first, and then I'll get back to that. Because, his coach, Sue, he played for the New England Patriots. Remember who his? That's right.
Oh, yeah.
So listen to this here.
I would repeat those last few statements about Coach Bill Belichick as well. Thank you for demanding excellence every single day. Your preparation, discipline, and attention to detail shaped far more than my football career. Unfortunately, Bill couldn't make it here today. There's a lot going on at UNC right now. He may be on a recruiting trip right now looking for the next Lawrence Taylor. I thought it was because training camp had already started. But in truth, it's because he's judging his girlfriend's cheerleading competition.
Ouch!
Wow.
They cut right to Peyton Manning, and he was laughing his ass off.
Oh, my gosh.
I thought that was pretty good. And I think I was reading about this a little bit. I think it was good-natured and not, supposed to be mean, but that was a pretty good line. By the way, it's Jan Stenerud, class of 1991, the first pure kicker inducted. Morton Anderson in 2017, Vinatieri, class of 26. However, there were 2 early-era legends, Fred, because they were kickers, but they also did something else. George Blanda was a quarterback. Then he kicked into his 40s.
Wow.
And I don't remember this one. Lou Groza. Remember that name?
No, I don't.
He was enshrined mainly as an all-pro offensive tackle and lineman, but he also kicked. But that's fascinating that there's only 3 kickers in there.
Okay, the Football Hall of Fame is one of the things where the statue, the mold of your head, whatever they put in, looks nothing like the people.
Like a bobblehead.
Yeah, kind of like the bobbleheads from Friday night.
Thing.
Exactly.
It's a thing.
That is just one of those things. All right, we're coming back with Sue's News.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We look pretty good on the roads. If you are a westbound 70 driver, it looks great out of downtown. There was a little bit of moderate volume at Jennings Station Road. 64, some volume there, mainly Kings Highway out through McCausland and again at Prospect. Southbound 270. Don't forget that ramp from southbound 270 to westbound Manchester is closed, and that is going to be closed around the clock through Friday. A little bit of volume at 44. 55 looks good. On the Illinois side, we're fine on the bridges, but westbound 5570 is slow just west of 255, and eastbound 64 is lined up 157 through 159. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Went through this situation. So I was divorced a long time ago, had a divorce attorney in Wisconsin, met Susan L. Ward several years ago, so she never worked on any of the situations with my case. Like even when I had child support that went off my check, you have to go in and get, a court order for that. I met Susan in the aftermath of my post-divorce issues. I'm kind of have all that stuff in the past. But look, if you need help, and for me, it was unique because I lived in Wisconsin, moved here. Missouri law is very different than Wisconsin. Missouri laws are different than all states. And we've even had some changes in the law recently in the last few years that affect parents and certainly child support. You can go online to Susan L. Ward's website. If you go to stlfamilylaw.com, you can read about some of the things that have happened in Missouri law. They've got a great blog section up there. But they also have their phone number and email. And that's really the most important thing. If you're not with Susan as a client right now and you would like to be, because I can guarantee you she's going to help you with your case, make sure that you have a ton of experience in your corner and make sure that you're really well taken care of. And, the financial situation, your ability to make sure you can maintain a relationship with your kids, that is so important, and that's where experience comes into play. So if you need Susan's help in St. Louis, call 314-783-9400, the website, stlfamilylaw.com. The focus on family law, the emphasis on you, Susan L. Ward.
It's Mark Cox. Celebrate the month of August with Zero Res. Buy 2 rooms of carpet clean, get 2 rooms free, plus take 20% off air ducts and products. Book online at zeroresstl.com and take advantage of the savings.
Let's just face it, right? Your home should work for you, not against you. Hi, it's Kim, and if you've been dreaming of a new kitchen, bathroom, or a finished basement, now's the time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design. They're St. Louis's trusted experts in turning houses into dream homes. Just imagine this, a spa-like bathroom, maybe a chef-inspired kitchen, or how about a cozy basement perfect for some movie nights? Their team handles everything from design to installation so you can just sit back and enjoy the process. Visit lakesidearty.com today to start your dream renovation.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
It is not hard to destroy a college. Last season, the podcast Campus Files brought you stories of fraternity drug rings, stolen body parts, campus cults, and more.
And now, Campus Files is back for another season.
There's a guy screaming into his phone. He's like, I just saw Charlie Kirk get assassinated right in front of me.
Every week is a new episode and a new story.
It was so chaotic. It's almost like a university under siege.
Listen to and follow Campus Files, available now wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment. It's not clear messaging.
No. And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Well, it's National Lazy Day, which I really
Got
like.
it. Yeah.
Fred,
I'm all in.
I'm totally in. Fred, I don't know if you qualify.
Oh, yeah, I do. I think I'm leader of the pack.
I'm not sure.
I don't know about that. You're always busy and working and stuff like that. I was not lazy over the weekend. I did a lot of yard work and stuff like that.
That's good.
But I feel like being lazy tonight, but I'm going to the baseball game. That's
well,
kind of
that counts.
lazy, though.
That's a good thing to do.
Yeah. It totally is. It's also National S'mores Day. I haven't had one in a long time, but it doesn't sound half bad. P.S. Why would that be in summer?
Pretty good.
You know what I mean?
I have like one a year, and it's whenever the family gets together over at Eckert's, and they have bonfires.
Oh, that's nice.
And so you sit around a bonfire, with your family group.
That's
and do
cool.
s'mores.
Wait
so
a minute.
great.
Do you like reserve a spot?
Yeah, you do. You have to reserve a spot.
I'll be darned.
Really?
That's really
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
interesting. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's great.
It's also for the ladies' National Shapewear Day. Oh, I love the shapewear.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, what is that?
Banks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, anything along that line.
Okay, all
We
right.
don't want to say the word girdle.
No.
No. I mean, that's outdated,
It's a
Fred.
terrible word,
It's
too.
a
Isn't it?
horrible,
Girdle.
horrible word. But shapewear, that
better.
keeps it all in.
It's a little better.
That's what I'm saying.
Is is the whole leggings, Lululemon stuff, is that shapewear too?
Kinda.
Okay.
Yeah, I would qualify that as such. But mostly it's for what you're going to wear under things.
I got it.
Yeah. On this day in history, 205 years ago, in 1821, our own state of Missouri became the 24th state.
Happy birthday to Missouri today.
Missouri is, of course, the birthplace. Now, this I found on a national thing, so this is what the rest of the world thinks of us. Missouri is the birthplace of Mark Twain and home of both the Pony Museum Express. What? Do we have? Okay.
Maybe in Kansas City?
Maybe. And
Or St.
the
Joseph or
world
something like that?
famous St. Louis Gateway Arch. Okay, we're familiar with that.
We
but
know
I'm
that
like,
one.
What? I didn't know about the other one. And Nellie. Don't forget Nellie.
Is that what they put down?
That they're
They don't
being
put
funny.
Chuck Berry?
No Chuck
No
Berry.
John Hamm?
Nope, no John Hamm. Just Nellie.
Just Nellie, all right.
Nellie in the Pony Express Museum.
No John Goodman?
No John Goodman. Mm-mm. On this day in history, this is the
Walt
music.
Disney.
Oh, Walt
Right?
Disney. I forgot about that.
All right, here we go. What do you want? Music?
47 years ago today, in 1979, Michael Jackson released one of my favorite albums. It's his fifth. Off the wall.
And I just mentioned they're going to
I
make
love it.
another Michael movie. It made so much money. I'm not even joking about this. They announced a sequel last week, and I still haven't seen the
wanna
one that
see it.
made $1 gazillion. All right, so this was his fifth album. What'd you say? What?
79.
1979.
This,
Wow.
if you're going roller skating, you will be hearing a lot of songs from this album.
Remember when we went roller skating?
Yes.
I think they played this song.
I'm telling
Oh, yeah.
you. Yes, it's excellent. And then 42 years ago, it was 1984, and I had forgotten this, but the women's 3,000-meter race at the 1984 LA Summer Olympics ended quickly for Mary Decker. Remember, she was a big deal. And she tripped over Zola Budd of South Africa.
Oh, yeah.
And Zola Budd was running barefoot. Wait, no. Mary was running barefoot, and she tripped over Zola Budd, and they went down, and then somebody irrelevant won. But that's what happened.
So what's funny about that is I have very, very faint memories, but I know the
Same.
names for sure. Like
Yes.
Zola Budd, probably
Zola
haven't
Budd.
heard that name in 40
Yes.
years.
I thought the same thing today.
So they both finished out of the deal.
I
is what
think
you're
so,
saying.
yeah. Somebody else won. Spider-Man, brand new day, grossed $145 million in its second weekend.
That's incredible.
It is incredible. Are you going to see it, Fred? No.
No.
I wonder. I'm probably. I might wait for it to stream.
98% of movies wouldn't even have that number for opening weekend.
Exactly. In North America, it has made $655 million. This makes it the highest earning 10-day domestic movie in history.
Wow.
What's good about this is, as someone who promoted going to the theater for 30 years as a critic, is younger people are really fueling this. Younger people are going to the movies. I mean, you got to realize that, if you go back 5 years during the pandemic, a lot of us were asking questions like, will movies even ever come back or recover?
So by younger, you mean teens?
No,
or
I think
20s?
I think teens into 20s and even, let's face it, I'm talking 30s too, okay? But the older people have kind of not gone to the theater, but younger people are fueling this, and it's good. I want people to see movies in theaters. It wasn't my favorite, this Spider-Man movie, but there's certainly far worse offerings, and I can see why people would want to see it on a big screen.
Well, I could see that too. How much does it cost to go to the movies now?
Well, when we saw, I think when I saw The Odyssey, it was a Saturday afternoon show. It was $18 a ticket.
Oof.
That was IMAX, though.
Oh, okay, that's
so.
it
Seems like 13, 14,
it's like 13 or 15 bucks.
All right, well, all right.
What gets expensive is when you're buying everything at the concession stand. The tickets, I don't think, are unfairly priced compared to what you get. But
do you ever sneak in food?
Of course, every time.
Man, if I go to High Point, I sneak in nothing because their popcorn is outstanding.
I always put a little can of Diet Coke in the
Do you?
in the pocket.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I am not surprised. Fred, do you sneak?
Oh, yeah.
What's your thing? What do you take
I think
in?
it's easy to get in like licorice slices.
Twizzlers. I put Twizzlers like in my back, by my butt.
As long as they don't
kinda,
frisk you, you're good.
And just put them in there underneath my coat.
Let's eat Mark's butt Twizzlers. Who's in?
The shirt's over it, but it's, you know what I mean. It's like if I didn't want to say I was like putting the gun back there, but it's like kind of putting the gun in your waist pocket, you know?
As we do.
Fortunately, yes, as we do. I do not care for the licorice, let alone something stuffed down the back of your pants.
But I'm just being honest.
Yes. I love this story. Okay. A woman who moved into Jason Sudeikis' old apartment in New York City kept getting his mail. And believe me, I'm not surprised by this. My mail still goes, and it's been a year, to my old house. It's just completely
I still get the person
insane.
who lived in my house. It was 10 years ago.
How is that possible?
I don't know. It's all her 401k stuff, too. Like, I don't open it, but it's like from the finance company.
It's ridiculous. Well, so she posts on social media because she doesn't know how else to get a hold of him. She posts on social media that she had the mail and said all kinds of people. She's like, how do I get this back to him? Well, she's hearing all kinds of stuff. I know his sister. Oh, my gosh, I'm his cousin. Wait, I can help. She's like, it's 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, except it's Jason Sudeikis. Well, somebody from his team finally calls her and says, hey, you know what? Why don't you come to the Ted Lasso 4 premiere and bring the mail? So
That's
she
great.
did.
That's awesome.
I loved it. And she brings it, and they've got photos of him. If you look online, you can see her, and she's got like packages and stuff. And he's like,
that's awesome. And that fits with, that's taking something and really turning it into a positive and a PR moment, so that's cool.
It is. By the way, the Buffalo Bills' new Highmark Stadium is getting mixed reviews from fans. They say the over $2 billion stadium, $2 billion, has some obstructed views. Are you kidding me?
Well, I saw the pictures of this, and I've seen the dust up. I think we got to wait a little while. Look, a lot of stadiums have obstructed views. At Miller Park, when they built it, they actually call them the euchre seats. You pay hardly any for them. They're way up. So that stadium looks absolutely gorgeous and beautiful.
It does.
Let's wait and see what comes in as the reviews. Usually those seats are not as full price, so everyone's focusing on the bad when that thing looks amazing, quite honestly.
Okay, well, they say 60% of the fans at the game will actually be protected. Although it's not a dome, it hangs out enough to protect those people.
Right.
And they've got some sort of snow melt system in there. And I'm not sure whether that's on the on the field or where it is, but I look forward to that. I love a new stadium. And finally, in Sue's News, we have today's random fact. There's scientific proof that closing your eyes makes it easier to remember accurate details of things you saw.
Wow.
So there is something behind that.
Doing the show with my eyes closed. There you go.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. The next step in AI investment has apparently been taken by NVIDIA. It's going to partner with several asset management firms on a $500 billion AI financing plan, according to CNBC. Apollo Global, Blackstone, Brookfield, Goldman Sachs are just some of the firms involved in the deal. And it again shows the importance of private capital in the financing the costs of the AI boom. The cybersecurity conference Black Hat has once again highlighted the importance of firms like CrowdStrike and Palo Alto Networks. Analysts at the conference noted that AI agents have fundamentally changed the threat landscape. Shares of both companies were up about 5% today on the news. Wall Street lower across the board today on concerns of a lack of a peace deal between the U.S. and Iran. The Dow Industrial's off 61 points, ending the day at 53,976. NASDAQ fell 85 points. S&P 500 lost 4. West Texas crude up 5% at $82 a barrel. That's your money now.
That'll be $84.52.
Perfect. Grab the bags, honey. Mom, why do you always check your phone before we pay? I'm just claiming my cash back on the Upside app. Since we're getting the groceries here and we filled up the car on the way, I've already earned enough this morning to pay for that pizza night we're having Friday.
Wait, so the app pays for pizza?
Not exactly, but the cash I earn on stuff we need helps us pay for the stuff we want. It's just a little win for our family every week.
Get more out of your everyday. Upside is the free app that gets you cash back on routine purchases like gas, groceries, and dining out at more than 100,000 locations nationwide. No points, no rebates, just cash back straight to your wallet. Download the free Upside app and use promo code ACT5 to get a $5 bonus on your first purchase. That's promo code ACT5 to get a $5 bonus. Remember, use promo code ACT5.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Let's talk about real estate, because I think some people are on the sidelines worried about what the price might be with a higher interest rate. Let me guide you into some really, really great help here in St. Louis. That's the Gelman team. Mark and Neil have been at this. Actually, it's Mark's birthday. I just remembered that. I wished him happy birthday this morning. So happy birthday to Mark Gelman. And if you want to wish him a personal happy birthday and say, hey, I'd like to become a client, I'm sure he would appreciate that. But they're really good at what they do because they've been in this market for a long time. They can give you strategic options for buying or selling a home. Mark and Neil with eXp Realty. They have options for you. You can get an instant cash offer. If you really want to crank up the marketing, they can do that for you. They have a great tool on their website where you can find out how much your home is really worth. All you got to do is pull on a pop-up, enter your address, and you'll see a price that's pretty accurate. And if you need to take it to the next step, they can help you with that. The Gelmans are also very active in the community. They're supporting about 100 local charities. They have over $2.5 billion in real estate, more than 6,000 homes sold. So the results really speak for themselves. Go to thegelmanteam.com or call 314-336-1991. Tell me you heard about it here on 97.1 FM Talk. The Gelman Team. Certain restrictions apply.
If you're a business or brand that's still paying for ads people skip or ignore, that's cute. Try a new method of advertising your customers can't mute. Join our mobile movement so you don't get left in our dust, because stationary billboards are a bust. Big, bold, loud, and in-your-face advertising that doesn't wait for traffic. We drive through it, bringing your business or brand right to your customers' eyes. You can't delete it, you can't trash it or swipe right. Hell, you can't even ignore it. The answer? The moving billboards, baby. We circulate around any high-traffic venue, capturing people's attention when they're making decisions. Inside stadiums, big brands compete for attention, but outside the stadium, we own the street media. Because in a world that's went mobile, your advertising should too. Try moving billboards. They really work. PinkTiger.ai.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Still celebrating? Yes, we are. America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
WNBA is having to react instead of lead and govern the league itself. And what they're doing is refusing to come out and say, this is who is eligible to play and this is who is not eligible to play. And until they make those rules, you're going to see people do what they're doing. They're forcing a conversation and saying, if you're not going to tell us who can play in the league, then anybody can play in the league. And that's the biggest issue with the WNBA right now.
Yeah, this is interesting because now you've had two former NBA players come forward, Enes Kanter-Freedom and Royce White, say, hey, we're going to declare ourselves eligible for the WNBA draft. So a lot of this is happening at the same time where there is a very important bill in Washington to protect state laws banning men in women's sports. Senator Hawley is part of that effort. We're going to talk about it here this afternoon for a little bit because it's an important issue and we kind of focus on this. We had a great conversation on Friday. If you missed the conversation I had in the 5 o'clock hour with Chloe Cole, who is a detransitioner, Dr. Bob Onder, Congressman Onder, is introducing something called the Chloe Cole Act, and that's very important. And we had a great conversation with her. But Matt Sharpe is here, attorney for the Alliance Defending Education, to talk about some of this. How are you, Matt? Welcome to 97.1 FM Talk in St. Louis.
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me.
So you're kind of approaching this from the Protect College Sports Act. So let's get into the details of what that would do. I mentioned Senator Hawley is involved in that. It is one of those things, I think, it's kind of a no-brainer. I think 85, 90% of the country probably agrees with some of this stuff. For whatever reason, it becomes controversial because of what's happening with, I guess, the WNBA and some of the trans activists out there. But how would you describe this particular piece of legislation and what it would accomplish?
Yeah. So the goal of the bill is to address some of the issues going on with name, image, likeness, athlete compensation, transfer rules. So definitely addressing some problems. The issue is that buried in the bill are limitations on states' ability to have their own athlete eligibility rule. And a lot of the states, 27 states, have passed laws protecting women's sports. And a lot of those laws are framed in terms of eligibility, that a male is not eligible to be on a woman's team. So the concern we flagged with some members of Congress is, hey, as you're working to address some of the issues with college athletics, don't let loose language get in this bill that could actually undermine fairness for women's sports.
So do you think that the language is being adjusted because of that?
Well, that's what we're hoping so. For about 2 months now, we've been working with the sponsors of this, Ted Cruz and others, and letting them know about this, offering some solutions. Just this past Friday, Congress decided to postpone a vote on the bill for another month. And so we're hoping this gives time for everybody to come together. I think everybody's wanting the same goals here, but let's come together and get some tight language that makes it clear that in all of these states, including in Missouri, that have protected girls' sports, let's make sure we don't get anything in this bill that could undermine those important games.
Yeah, I think that's important. So, I support that for sure. Do you know enough about the bill to talk about some of the things that it would do related to NIL? Because I've heard some of those discussions about that. The problem I think sometimes people have, and by the way, the goals are certainly something we should strive for here. But what happens is you have pieces of legislation, then you attach other pieces with amendments, and it sometimes gets a little confusing to people and convoluted. But what would the rest of that bill do?
Yeah, no, you hit on it. This is a massive bill. I think it's almost 200 pages now that covers everything from when coaches can transfer and what that means to deal with the Lane Kiffin situation, with NIL and student agents, and even whether students are employees of a university or not. So a lot in this. And the problem is when you have a bill that big, sometimes you get provisions like this, like the one we're concerned about, dealing with eligibility, that can undermine some of the really good state protections that are out there. And so I think when you're looking at these issues, we've got to be precise, we've got to be clear, and make sure that this is not rolling things back for girls and college sports.
What do you make of everything that's been happening the last few weeks in the WNBA with Sophie Cunningham? And this profile comes out. And by the way, I don't even know how many people read the profile on ESPN. It's a great profile. It's very long. It talks about her roots down the road here. Matt in Columbia, Missouri. She went to Mizzou, my alma mater, was a star there, and now has become obviously a little bit of a culture warrior in all this because of a very small portion of that ESPN article, which really just said, I love everybody, but I think that, girls should be protected against playing against biological men. Seemingly wasn't that controversial, but oh my God, everyone blows up, and now the WNBA has signs at their games, and they have people, protesting inside and outside and all of this stuff. Is this helpful to the movement? I think it is. It's shedding a lot of light on this, and Sophie Cunningham's not backing down.
That's right. Look, it shows the cancel culture is still alive and well. They're trying to cancel Sophie for simply saying an opinion that 80% of Americans agree men don't belong in women's sports. We need to preserve women's sports. Otherwise, those opportunities are gone. And so it shows when people are saying, why are you guys making such a big deal about this Protect College Sports Act and this loose language in there? Well, it's because we know that there are adamant, strong voices that want to shut down any woman that dares speak up and say men don't belong in women's sports. And they're going to continue to push for men who say they're women to be able to compete, not just in the WNBA, but in college sports. So we've got to get this right. We've got to stand firm. And we need more voices like Sophie's out there saying this is wrong. We've got to preserve women's opportunities in the WNBA and college sports and beyond.
Matt Sharpe is here. He is the attorney for Alliance Defending Freedom. You know, it's so important. One of the things that some of us have been talking about, when I say some of us, me and folks that you've heard out there in this movement, Jen Say, Riley Gaines, and others, saying, look, we need to make sure that there is like an A-list athlete that comes out and really takes this stand. And that's kind of what you had with Sophie Cunningham. She wasn't the biggest star in the league, although now she certainly is because her name is well known. But you did have Sabalenka, the #1 tennis ranked player in the world, come out and show support. Couple others, Coco Gauff was a little wimpy on her support. Everyone wants to be real careful about this issue when I don't know why you can't just say, look, we don't, hate anyone. Trans people can have their freedoms, whatever they want. We're talking about the competition level here and the fairness issue, which seemingly most people should agree upon.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is something that is common sense. Anybody that's watched a game knows that there are differences between men and women, and we actually get more opportunities when we recognize those, preserve women's teams, preserve men's teams. That's the best way to do this. It's just a shame that it takes the amount of courage it does to stand up, and that these female athletes feel pressure to keep their voices silent, to keep their opinions to themselves because they're worried about some big corporate sponsor coming against them or the WNBA coming against them for simply saying what we all know to be true is that LeBron James doesn't belong in the WNBA.
I don't know about you, but I really am shocked, and there's not a lot that shocks me, the reaction of some of these coaches in the league. Even over the weekend with, the Fever's head coach, when she doesn't even defend her own player and Sophie Cunningham, who gets taken down with a hard foul. I was stunned by that.
Yeah, and I think we all ought to be. Where is the courage to stand up for Sophie Cunningham? Where is the courage to stand up for Riley Gaines and these other female athletes that are speaking out on it? We need more voices joining with them and saying, we don't care about getting canceled. We don't care about what it may cost us. This is the right stance to take. And I think Americans are going to rally around them because they're tired of the woke nonsense and they're tired of the lack of courage, and that's why they're pumped to see a voice like Sophie speaking out and saying enough is enough. Again, we're not being nasty, we're not being mean, we're just saying what common sense dictates, is that men don't belong in girls' sports.
Matt, I even think I saw something from today on Twitter from the weekend where there was a track meet where there was a boy, I think he came in third place, so he didn't finish first or second, but still comes in third place, taking that spot from a biological girl.
Yeah, this is the problem. Every time you allow a guy to compete, some girl's losing out. It means not only the championship, but like you said, that third place medal that should have gone to a deserving young girl, that spot in the final track meet that should have gone to that. And let's be clear, this isn't just about championships. We're representing a young girl with Washington State that was sexually assaulted on a wrestling mat. She had no idea that she was wrestling against a guy. That's wrong. We can't allow that, but this is what happens when we ignore common sense and we continue to allow guys to invade girls' sports.
Yeah, that's a horrible situation. I didn't realize you were involved in that. So what are you trying to achieve in that particular case? Because there were no criminal charges that were filed, right?
No, we're going after Washington State policy. Again, the problem here is the state and the schools that are allowing this. They should have stopped it in the first place and said to this young man, you want to wrestle? Great. You can wrestle with the men's team. You have no business being in the girls' team. So we've got to hold those in power accountable. The schools, the colleges, the states that are having these laws making this possible, those are the ones that's responsible for what's happening to these young women, is those that allow the guy to suit up and walk onto the girls' team to begin with.
Matt Sharpe, awesome work. Keep up the fight. Thanks for coming on 97.1 FM Talk this afternoon. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got some volume now. It looks like the usual on westbound 6440. It's Kings Highway out past McCausland. There's an accident reported eastbound near McKnight, and then it's a slow go from McKnight through Big Bend. That's jammed up southbound 170 a little bit at 64. 70 westbound, we've got an accident reported by Jennings Station Road. It's just a little bit east of there, and then things open up. Now, 64 out west is fine until you get to Lake St. Louis Boulevard. There's some volume through there. And on southbound 270 as you approach Manchester. Don't forget the ramp from southbound 270 to westbound Manchester is closed all week. And we've got an accident reported southbound 270 north of Gravois. Fine on the bridges on the Illinois side, but 64 eastbound lines up 157 through 159. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. This report brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The Overhead Door Home Refresh Rebate. Call now and get $500 back on a qualifying garage door with a qualifying purchase. Must be made by September 30th. Overheaddoor.com and go there, learn more, schedule a free estimate. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Mark Cox here. Join me for breakfast Friday, September 11th from 5 to 9 a.m. at Chickenelli's in Eureka. We're raising funds for Focus Marines Foundation. Proceeds go straight to supporting our veterans. Learn more at 971talk.com/events.
A little more than 24 hours from now, we have a great segment, 5:30 Tuesdays, Tech Talk Tuesdays, with George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet. We actually called him into service a couple of times last week because some of this AI stuff and AI going rogue is getting out of hand. So this could also be called the segment where George scares the hell out of us. But as a business owner, you need to know these things. And this is where ThrottleNet can help you. He dazzles our audience every Tuesday night and really helps educate us. But if you're a business owner, you need ThrottleNet's help making sure that you are protected from cyber threats. And one thing that we emphasize, that George and ThrottleNet emphasizes, it's not just a big company problem. In fact, more and more, it's small and mid-sized companies that are being targeted every day. And if you get one click, one data breach, one ransomware attack, that can shut you down, cost you a lot of money, damage customer trust, and then what happens to your business? No ThrottleNet client has ever paid a ransom because their cybersecurity works. And they're the only IT company that backs their cybersecurity with a $500,000 cyber protection program. So if you want to get a little flavor for what George and the team are all about, tune in tomorrow night right around 5:30 or go to throttlenet.com/971. And that offers you, as a business owner, your free baseline IT security audit. They'll tell you, look, you don't know where you can go if you don't know your baseline. So that's why we're going to help you out with that. Throttlenet.com/971.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
When it comes to family law, a lot has changed in recent years, so assumptions can be costly. If you see or sense a change coming in your family life that could have legal implications, it's important to know where you stand. Getting good legal advice early is never a bad idea. I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. If you or anyone you know is facing a family law issue, start with a consultation. Visit CordellCordell.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
Want to make the most of your tax refund? File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it with a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Wow, we are at a very busy sports time of the year with the calendar. We got the BMW Championship only about a week away. The Cardinals still in town. They take on the Phillies tonight. Frank Cusumano from KSDK is here. Hi, Frank. How are you?
Good to be with you. I'm outside Busch Stadium as we speak, getting ready for this big 3-game series. And don't bury the lead. Mike Busch throwing out the first pitch tonight. So we're excited about that.
That is awesome. I'll have to get there in time to see that because I'm heading over to the game tonight. Look, you've won the last 2 series, right, against the Yankees and the Rockies. Saturday wasn't the greatest performance. I went to the game Friday. It was boring, but you get the win yesterday. You had some offense. JJ is doing great. Jordan's swinging the bat. What do we got against the Phillies here? How many home runs will Kyle Schwarber hit this week?
Yeah, it's unbelievable that if the Cardinals were to sweep, Mark, we would be a half game behind the Phillies in that final wild card playoff spot. Now you'd still have to jump start and go over the Padres and the Marlins, but still, as good as this Philly team is, I mean, they have Trey Turner, they have Bryce Harper. I mean, they are loaded with talent, and yet the Cardinals sweep and they're right back into things.
Well, that might be wishful thinking, but look, it'd be great to take another series. Colorado's an interesting team because they seemingly have a lot of young talent and guys who can hit on that roster, but the pitching must just fall apart because their record's terrible. But, for a while there, it seemed like we were playing down to the level of competition. But if you looked at some of the stats for the Rockies lineup, they were pretty good.
You're absolutely right. It's like when you look at that offensive talent they have, you think, how can they be 26 games under 500? How can they be the worst team in the National League? And it is basically about pitching. And speaking of pitching, the Cardinals starting staff is now 4th in the National League at earned run average. I mean, with the exception of Matthew Libator, almost every guy you throw out there is giving you a really good outing. And tonight they're going to throw Hunter Dobbins, who's been pretty good against this really lethal Philadelphia Phillies lineup.
All right, I mentioned the BMW is coming in just about a week. I cannot wait for next week. I know you're excited as well. I'm told Fred says that you have a good Winghaven story to share, golf-related this afternoon. Is that true?
Well, it's just insane. Let me sum it up as quickly as I can. A former Division I golfer, very good player who's competing in the Winghaven Club Championship. His group was going off first. He tells his foursome that he may have to walk away for a minute for a very important phone call during the round. It was about his grandmother's health. They said, sure. So they finished the 3rd hole. He tells them, I got to take this call. I'll hit my ball off the 4th tee, and then I'll meet you on the green. So he returns to the par 3 4th, and they asked him how he did. He goes, I think I thinned it, but let's go see. So they go down there, and they find the ball in the cup for a hole-in-one.
No way.
Keep in mind, there's big money, at a club championship if anybody gets a hole-in-one, anywhere between $2,000 and maybe $10,000. So nobody saw it going in. There was skepticism. They actually have cameras all over the course. The video shows him getting there before the tournament starts, going to the 4th hole, and putting the ball in the cup.
Oh, no way. Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. That is not where I thought you were taking us. I thought this was going to be a really fun, warm, fuzzy story, and it's exactly the opposite. And he had to know he was going off first, right?
Oh, yeah. This thing was meticulously planned. I think I'm just kind of shocked that they'd have cameras. Could you imagine look at the video? Hey, let's look at this video. And all of a sudden, you see a guy in the 4th hole sticking the ball in the cup. Oh, my goodness. So he has resigned from the club, and he's faced so much scorn. Everybody knows who he is. I almost feel sorry for him now. I know you can't do it. It's terrible, but it's rough.
My jaw is just open now because there's so many. I'm just thinking through the components of the people at Winghaven and everybody who knows this guy and all that. And to think that, clearly he had no idea that a camera would catch that. But that is quite a story. We'll see if that one goes national. What are your thoughts right now on the BMW? They got to narrow this field to 50 next weekend, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in Hoyven, the 21-year-old from Auburn, who played well enough in the Wyndham Championship, Mark. So he joins Tiger Woods as one of 2 golfers to qualify for the FedEx Championships after only playing 5 tournaments. So I think he's 70th. I hope he plays well in Memphis. We see him in St. Louis in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that'll be nuts. All right, enjoy the ballpark. Tell Mike to get it across the plate, and we'll talk on Friday, Frank. Thank you.
All right, take care.
That story about the golfer is crazy.
I've never heard anything like for real like that.
So what I thought he was going to say is that grandma, had passed away, and all of a sudden it was this, hole in one in honor of grandma or something like that, and they found it. So I've only come. There was one time it was on. I have to think about the number of the hole. My friend Jeff Drew is listening right now. It's one of the par threes. I think it's the second par three at Belle Reve, and it was a terrible shot, right? But we couldn't really see where it went, and it had to go right over the hole, and we thought it went in. And it would have been a real cheap hole in one, but I've never had one. You would have taken it, right? It doesn't matter. But it was past the cup, but honestly, we thought it had to roll pretty much right by it. But that's an interesting story, and it also makes you kind of wonder how often stuff like that might happen elsewhere.
It does make you wonder.
Because that's something where you think through that, because not only is he placing the ball there, but he's doing the distraction of the phone call. Okay, I take a phone call. It's important. I'm going to hit my shot, blah, blah, blah. You throw shade that way. Wow.
And you're thinking,
story.
gosh, I don't want to interrupt him. He's on the phone. It might be a family. Double whammy.
I got to look more into that. That's going to be good. Former Mizzou and NFL player TJ Moe is going to come with us and be on the next segment after 5 o'clock. He contributes to Fearless with Jason Whitlock, and he has a lot of thoughts on the WNBA and some of the stuff that are going on there and the Fauci text messages. I know TJ has been doing some social media on that. And then there's a big Wisconsin primary tomorrow. Francesca Hong is the DSA candidate for the Democrats. She's facing off against the guy who runs Milwaukee County. He's the Milwaukee County executive, but she's been leading in the polls, even though she hates Thanksgiving and some of the other things. My friend Jessica McBride, who is a journalist up there, writes for a publication called Wisconsin Right Now, is going to give us a preview. Plus, poor Jessica, I think it was on Saturday, it might have been yesterday, she was stung by 24 wasps in her backyard. So we weren't even sure if she could come on the air, but she's going to be a trooper. She'll be with us at 5:30.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, there was an accident on 70, and this thing is eastbound. So, hold on. Let me double check that, because sometimes that comes down, and I don't think it. Yeah, it is. It's eastbound 70, and it's just past Jennings Station Road, and it's caused a jam behind it. Now, westbound is fine in that area. And 64, the usual volume. That's Kings Highway out through McCausland. There was an accident close to McKnight, so eastbound is a slow go east of Lindbergh through Big Bend. Westbound 40 slowing out at Prospect. There's some volume on southbound 270 near Manchester. Don't forget that ramp from southbound 270 to westbound Manchester is closed and will be all week. And now we have an accident on the Illinois side just coming off of the JB Bridge. So if you're eastbound on 255, look for a jam that goes back through Telegraph. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Oh, yeah, that's made a little national news, that story that Frank was talking about. Because if you Google it, it comes right up on ESPN. ESPN's picking it up.
Brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Why pay full insurance when you can customize and save? Switch to Liberty Mutual and they'll customize your auto and home insurance so you only pay for what you need. Liberty, 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 liberty.
It is a hot and sticky day in St. Louis. If you get home from work and your home is warm, the thermostat maybe not keeping up, it could be your windows. So let's look at something different. Energy replacement windows that are energy efficient, rather, from Banner Construction, one of the best contractors in the whole region. If you're looking for anything along those lines, premium replacement windows really are something that can help you. They can increase curb appeal. I always like to say they look good from the inside and the out because Pella windows are beautiful. And, of course, you have all kinds of different styles, awning, double hens, slider casement. You might put a bow or a bay window in. You have exterior and interior colors and hardware finishes to complement your home and your lifestyle. And then, of course, there's even glass and grid options, energy efficiency glass and grid options. Pella stands for quality. So does Banner Construction. They also specialize in James Hardy fiber cement siding. You can find out about all the products and what they do on their website, which is bannerconstruction.com, or call 314-569-1050.
Things in Washington, D.C. may seem unsettled at times by their lack of progress. But one department in the U.S. government is progressing. That is the IRS. Hi, this is Lance Stewart Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. The IRS is in full function to collect on unpaid taxes. If you've been putting off a tax problem, it's time to call the Lance Story Law Firm and get it resolved. Don't think the government is too busy to focus on my issues. Too many of my clients thought the same. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Lance Story Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Remember, if you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call the Lance Story Law Firm. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Or call 314-260-6120 or visit LanceStoryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump signing an executive order he says will deliver a gold standard for vaccine schedule.
We're breaking up the vaccines, and we're breaking them up in 2 time periods.
The president claims decades ago when children had fewer vaccines, they were much healthier, and he claims the rate of autism was not as high, though scientific consensus and decades of studies have concluded there is no link between vaccines and autism. This says the Trump administration is tightening regulations for food manufacturers that introduce additives or new ingredients into products.
Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says companies would be required to submit safety findings for new ingredients to regulators, ending the so-called GRAS, or generally recognized as safe, loophole. The FDA is also moving closer to releasing a first-of-its-kind definition of ultra-processed food that Kennedy blames on obesity, especially among children.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. President Trump calling for compensation from Iran as part of the deal to end the conflict. This coming as Tehran asks for money to pay for damage done to the country due to U.S. airstrikes. The president said the U.S. deserves money, too.
All of the people that were so badly hurt, so badly wounded or killed, many thousands of people, and maybe damages for the 52,000 protesters over the last 4 months that were killed in Iran. We think their families should get damages.
The president also suggested Iran give money to the families of protesters killed by the Iranian regime. At least 111 people have been killed after a magnitude 7.4 quake rocked western Colombia. Many people remain trapped. Hundreds of buildings are damaged. Wall Street stocks edged lower. The Dow lost 60 points. The Nasdaq off 85. The S&P -4. Oil prices rose. America is listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She can get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Summer still has a lock on our weather, partly to mostly clear skies. It's warm and it's humid. Steam bath weather continues. 79 for the low, but the city will hold in the 80s all night long. On Tuesday, sunny, hot, and humid, 97 for the high, 104 the record. It's an old one, 1881, so it's safe. Tuesday night, partly cloudy, warm, and humid, 79. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
I mean, I got to tell you, when Frank told me that story, I pulled it up because it's now on ESPN. That is a crazy story, Sue. And now apparently there's some talk about maybe facing prosecution because there was money and fraud involved. And now people are coming forward with other instances of suspicious behavior. And if you missed it, what happened was, and this is on ESPN right now, there was a kid. This guy was like a 2 handicap, which means he's a really good golfer, right? And he places a ball on the 4th hole at Winghaven before a tournament and fakes a hole-in-one, so he has to resign. And what I didn't know is that he had gone on the radio on another station last week and admitted all this. His name is Zach Holland. They say he's a 2 handicap. He admits all this. He's basically saying, you do something as dumb as I did, there are consequences for that. And here's the other thing. His this gets a little bit better here because I just found out some other information. It's that his father, let me check here. I just want to get the director of golf. Oh, no, this is just the director of golf, in no relation. But the director of golf at Winghaven is Nathan Charms. He's the interim and future president of the PGA of America. So that's kind of like a little weird tie-in there. But that's a bizarre story. Let me invite a former athlete. Maybe you still are an athlete. TJ Moe, former Mizzou and NFL player. Had you heard that story about what happened at Winghaven by any chance?
No, I had not.
Oh, my God. I mean, the guy says, hey, my grandma's dying. I got to take a call, so let me hit my tee shot on the 4th first. They're the first ones on the course. So he comes back and goes, I thinned it. I don't know where it went. And they find it in the cup, and they celebrate a hole-in-one until the superintendent looks on video, and they discover that he went out there before the tournament and dropped it in the cup. And the guy's a good golfer, and I think they even had a chance to win the tournament without cheating. But how about that?
I would not recommend doing that, generally speaking. And also, it's just one of those things that'll follow you forever. Like, it's like a good dumb story. I guess you'll tell your grandkids one day, but it's like forever. Everybody just like, man, I don't trust that guy. When you're good enough, that's roughly the equivalent of the Richard Nixon Watergate thing. Not that I actually believe that happened to any degree, but if you do believe that, that's roughly the same thing.
Well, in this case, apparently, the reason I think he went on to tell his story is because he's getting threats and his wife, he's got kids, and you wouldn't support that. But my God, you do something that dumb, and, I guess you give him credit for owning it, but you're right. That's going to stick with you for a long time when now you have people saying, wait a second, maybe you cheated in earlier circumstances, right? Because why wouldn't they think that? That's just human nature.
Yeah, of course. How often do you get caught on the first time cheating? How often? Yeah. And he's not the one who came out and said, by the way, I feel terrible about this. I cheated. It's my conscience. They caught him on tape.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So I don't know. And I'm so excited to talk to you because we haven't caught up on a lot of things. And I've seen a lot of your social on Dr. Fauci, et cetera. But I don't know where to start on this Sophie Cunningham story. I really can't. Because when she gets taken out the other night and Dijonais, as I'm calling her, gets ejected from the game, her own coach didn't even defend Sophie.
I don't think that Dijonais intentionally came out to get her across the neck like she did, but it did happen, and I thought it was the right call. But one of the things about Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup, and so I don't oppose the hard foul. You ever play for a coach that didn't have your back, TJ Moe?
Never did, and I wouldn't have, because that's just not. You can't be all in on something and not have your coach have your back. It's like I expected when something crazy would happen, my coach was going to be the first guy ejected, and I can't stand Stephanie White. I mean, to the little that I followed at NBA, I just can't do it. It's the most woke, feminist, awful, disgusting league that has ever been assembled. So I hate it, but to the degree that I do follow it, Stephanie White is not only just a terrible supporter of her players. She's a terrible coach. I mean, she always, I'm on with Jason Whitlock, and he does follow this stuff. He's got some sort of sickness that allows him to follow this stuff closely. And I'm just telling you, she's a bad coach. She has she never has Caitlin Clark's back. She's destroying Caitlin Clark. And Sophie's cardinal sin is trying to protect the league from being invaded by men. That's her cardinal sin. And now she's being bullied by a bunch of black lesbians because of it. Explain that one to me.
I can't explain it. And I can't believe that the league comes out with a statement on Friday night talking about hate and all this stuff when they seemingly are only talking about people who are protesting against making sure that biological boys can't face women, because there was no support for the anger that is hurled at Sophie Cunningham. You had the owner of the Seattle team go up to two 16-year-old girls that were holding a sign and XXXY shirts on and made one of them cry. They don't address that issue. I mean, sure, she got suspended, but there was nothing else that was said about that. They seem to really be focusing on those of us who have issue with, biological men playing against biological women. It really is stunning the way the league's responding to this, but I guess it would be expected.
That absolutely is expected. Mark, I've been thinking about this today, actually, because I got two daughters. I want them to live in a world that's sane. I'm a Christian. I believe Matthew 5 tells me to be the salt of the earth and that I should be preserving the Christian values of America. I believe all this stuff, so I will continue to fight for this. However, I'm just telling you, if there's one league that should go down, it's this one. So, if this league does allow men to come in and destroy it, it's the best league to go away. It is the one that I would love to have disbanded and say, well, you group of idiots couldn't hold it together. You decided that Enes Kanter and Royce White, two actual NBA players, can fake being women. And, since you can't decide what a woman actually is, and that, only the person gets to decide. Anybody, Mark, you're a woman today if you just so please, and you could go play in the WNBA. If this is the league that needs to go away to make the example, I'm actually a little bit fine with that.
Well, I would be too, but it's kind of funny because there's not going to be a time probably where there's more focus on the WNBA than right now, and they're still screwing it up, I think, because everything I see is a coach saying this is a human rights issue, every kid has a right to sports. Well, so like Enes and Royce, let's test that, right? Let's test the inclusivity, because they don't want to be anyone that excludes, so we're going to find out, aren't we?
But also help me out here, Mark. Is this a league? If we're so inclusive, do they not have tryouts? Do they not cut anybody from these teams? I'm trying to figure out who is not being excluded. I'm pretty excluded. Virtually every woman that's ever tried to play in the WNBA has failed. There's only about 12 of them on each team. In what way is this an inclusive league? I can't figure out. It's only inclusive if you are a mentally ill dude. That's it.
So what did you think, when Enes and Royce come out to kind of push the envelope on this? What's your reaction to that?
Well, I don't know Enes at all. I know Royce White because he's been on
Oh, you do?
And so he and I are friendly a little bit, yeah. And I don't know if you know Royce White's story. Royce White is about a 6'8" point forward who, had he not, he is deathly afraid of flying. And that was his big thing because he was an absolute monster at Iowa State. He was a first-round pick. He didn't fizzle out because he couldn't play. He fizzled out because he couldn't get on a plane. And so after a while, I was like, hey, dude, you can't travel to games. This isn't working. And so that's the real reason. He had some mental health issues.
And I empathize with that. I did not know that. That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just telling you, he'd probably still be in the league today. He's not that old. He's a monster. He plays in the 3-on-3 league that they have going on, and he's dominant. The dude's really good. So anyway, but he's also a hardcore Republican up in Minnesota. He challenged Ilhan Omar for her seat a couple years ago, lost. Ran for Senate 2 years ago, lost that. But he's really into politics, and so to the degree that he was on with Alex Jones yesterday. He wore a wig and said he's in his, Royce White phase and all that. And he didn't even know he's a woman until just now. The guy's funny. By the way, he's wicked smart too, intellectually on another level than most people you'll ever meet. He's one of those people, very gifted. And so I think what they're doing is exactly what you should do, right? What you do in these situations is you tell people you have to call their bluff and demonstrate the absurdity of what's going on. And so now two guys have done that. And they said, listen, you don't get to tell me I'm not a woman because by your definition, only I get to decide. And so I think Enes Kanter today actually filed to be a part
I think
of
he
the
did.
next WNBA draft.
Yeah, I think he did.
So, I mean, look, they're going to have to come out and say something about it.
Do you think Caitlin Clark is being a little wimpy here or not?
Absolutely. She's a complete coward. In fact, I heard a great I've been a Caitlin Clark defender because generally she's a Midwestern girl with some Christian roots at least. I think she went to Catholic school. I think her parents are Catholic. And she's kind of been abused, again, by a bunch of black woke lesbians. That's pretty much the entire league. And they all hate her. And so I've kind of been a defender of her. But there's a guy named Steve Dace that works at the Blaze. He had a pretty decent take on what might actually be going on with Caitlin. And that his take is this, and I might agree with it. I haven't decided yet, but it's a good take. He thinks that it's not that Caitlin is a conservative that is afraid of the woke WNBA just beating her up, and so she doesn't want to cross the line. It's that she's one of these woke people who knows her entire base is Midwestern conservatives. And so in order to keep them, she just has to shut up. So no matter what, she's a coward. And it's like, listen, I get it. You want to be the Michael Jordan of the whole deal. Michael Jordan would have said, hey, it's pretty crazy that you would let women play in my league, or vice versa. Like, it's not that the guy didn't exist. He just didn't jump into politics. Well, politics have moved so far into the realm of just common sense. I think Jordan would be speaking up at this point. And so I don't know how this isn't the Jordan years. We're not fighting over the proper tax rates. We're fighting over the future of your league, and you have nothing to say about it. And the one teammate who came over to stick up for you, because most of your teammates won't, Sophie Cunningham, is now getting her face bashed in because she'll say something and you won't.
It's outrageous.
I don't much care for Caitlin.
No, I mean, I'm kind of shocked by it. I'm shocked by the Stephanie White. You've obviously been following her a lot closer, and I've seen some of your posts, when she's not really sticking up for Caitlin as well. So I don't know how that dynamic kind of works its way out through an entire season. It's fascinating. You and I talked a lot during COVID and some of the stupid things that were happening across the country and around here. You had to be thrilled, not only with the Fauci diaries that came out, but now we have, and I haven't dug into this, I know Senator Johnson and Senator Paul have released some of the phone messages, text messages, because they subpoenaed his phone. Now, the good news is all this stuff is being, revealed and exposed. The bad news is half the country thinks Tony Fauci was a hero and saved 1 million lives, and they don't realize the devastation, the learning loss, all these other things he did to kids. But at least it's being exposed, TJ Moe. I take a little pleasure in that.
I just don't think you'd plead the fifth 111 times if you were telling the truth. That is something I think is unlikely. And to the degree, the thing that came out today with Senator Johnson, he just tweeted out not long ago one of the text messages or something from the diary from Anthony Fauci. And this is it was January of 21. I mean, it was early that he was saying, hey, we're seeing people after their second dose spike their fever, have some problems. This may be some sort of signal of miscarriages in the first trimester.
Right.
The guy knew about it and still went ahead and recommended it to these women. Now, there's other stuff floating around on social media that I haven't verified at this point, but where they said they said something like 15%, and they're like, no, it's more like 82% of these women had problems. So I haven't verified that. Just throwing out there what some people are actually reporting and what some of these papers are saying. And so my big issue with Fauci is that he wanted to be the guy who had action figures made about him, and he did not care about costing people their lives and their livelihood. So that dude can't go to prison fast enough.
Yeah, and I don't think he ever will, but I'm totally with you. I'm outraged by, I was certainly one that probably gave Dr. Fauci a pass for far too long, but with the revelations that came out over the years, I mean, there's no doubt that this needs to be exposed, and Senator Johnson's doing a great job on this up in Wisconsin. You're right. So what they're finding is that there were text messages that were shared between some of the folks that we were supposedly going to trust and that we were, counting on as experts, that they were exchanging messages that, in fact, there were significant miscarriages in the first trimester, especially after the second dose. We never heard about that until today, right?
Of course.
Right.
Yes. And we're just going to keep, it's just going to keep coming out, right? Because first of all, when you're lying to everyone and you're lying in front of Congress and you're misleading literally the entire world because everybody takes after what America does by and large, you shouldn't write your lies in your diary. You shouldn't tell the truth in your diary and then tell all of us something else. That is a catastrophic mistake that actually could put you in prison. At some point, you can keep pleading the fifth, but if we can tell in your diary what you actually thought and then line it up with your testimony in Congress, now we do have some problems.
Yeah, here's, by the way, when people are chiming in with Senator Johnson, I'm just kind of paging down on his X page right now. And here's a nice story from December of 2021 from USA Today, which they're certainly the worst on some of this stuff. Fact check, no evidence Pfizer Moderna COVID-19 vaccine caused miscarriage. Well, in fact, I think we have different evidence than that right now, right? Unreal, the way that the media did not do their job. TJ Moe, great to hook up with you. I hope all is well in your world. You keep the fight and the fire coming.
You too, Mark.
All right,
Thanks,
we'll see you. Take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we look good on westbound 70 out of downtown. Looks like a little bit of leftover volume eastbound 70 around Jennings Station Road, and that due to an earlier accident. In fact, eastbound a little slow at 141 as well, but westbound is fine. Now, westbound 64, it's Kings Highway out through McCausland. That's a slow go. And eastbound is slowing, especially at Big Bend. But we also have a jam, so there's an incident reported just east of Lindbergh. And then eastbound is slowing also at 270. And out west, finally, a little bit of volume westbound. So not bad out there, and it's mainly at Prospect. Now, we still have a jam on eastbound 255. There was an accident on the Illinois side past the JB Bridge. Look for heavy traffic that goes back through Telegraph. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they have been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. They do everything from siding to kitchens with quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Go to lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. Sue Thomas with traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, let's get you some cash out of the equity in your home. And you may say, wait a second, the rates are way too high for that. They are not when you go with Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage, because he's still offering you a great opportunity. A couple of offers here. Let's go right to those of you who might want to purchase a home, because we know that a lot of people have been on the sidelines because of the rates. And you kind of wonder, if you're in a 3% rate, how much will you have to step up to? And that's going to increase your payment, right? Well, Stewie has the bagel loan, which in and of itself sets you up for saving money. But right now, he's made even a better offer, and that is a 1% discount on your 30-year mortgage. If you're purchasing a home with Stewie and you do the deal and you close it all up, you're going to save some money for that first year. The same offer is also in effect right now for refis if you go from an FHA to a conventional. So a couple of different offers, limited time right now. The bagel loan gets you a great deal in and of itself because it's no appraisal fees, no closing costs, no title fees, no broker fees. So if you need to refi and you need to do it where you're so comfortable with the rate, look at Stewie and what he's offering right now. If you need to purchase a home, you really are in a great position with Stewie. They can close you in as little as 10 days. You're not going to be on the phone with a bunch of customer service folks because it's essentially Stewie and his son Jordan that handle all the loans. Here's his cell phone, 314-324-4440. If you forget that, just Google the bagel loan. NMLS number 226715.
Your summer air should feel fresh. That means not full of dust or allergens or whatever spring left behind in your vents. Your air ducts are the lungs of your house. If they're dirty, you're breathing it in every day. That's where Zero Res comes in. You can get this month only 20% off air duct services and products. That is cleaner air, better efficiency, and a fresher home, guaranteed. Call 314-474-2020 or visit ZeroResSTL.com.
You've pictured it, the garage door that finally makes your home look the way you want it to. And now get $500 back on a qualifying garage door with the Overhead Door Home Refresh Rebate. Qualifying purchase must be made by September 13th. Let Overhead Door Company of St. Louis upgrade your curb appeal and get you up to $500 back. Schedule a free estimate at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. Select models. Rebate paid as a Visa prepaid gift card. Restrictions apply. See website for full terms.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
Well, congratulations to Will Sharpe, who is a friend of the show, and a lot of folks around here know Will. He has been named staff secretary from the position of staff secretary to White House counsel. That's the top legal advisor for the White House. He's going to start the new gig on September 1st. He's going to replace the current White House counsel, David Warrington. David's going to the private sector. Will Sharpe was one of President's many personal lawyers before working in the White House. And he's the guy, like, if you've seen any of this in the last year and a half when he's in the Oval Office, and that was certainly the case today when he was signing some executive orders on vaccinations. Will's the one that's kind of handing him the pen and describing what the what the legislation might be or the executive order. The president says Will is tough, strong, and smart. He also loves our country and respects the law. Will Sharpe will do a great job as White House counsel. So that's good for Will Sharpe. He was going to, try to be attorney general here in Missouri. He's done quite well for himself outside of that, so I don't think we need to worry. The controversy in Michigan over El Sayed and his relationship with Hassan Piker continues, and I guess they're just going to, go hand in hand throughout this, and he's not going to back off. One thing that did happen over the weekend is you had, a couple of people like Kristen Welker over at NBC asking questions that were a little bit tougher on the Hassan Piker front, because what he basically wants to do is, just say, we all have relationships. We don't agree with everyone.
To sit here and play gotcha politics with a dumb thing somebody said out of context that they disavowed themselves to say, oh, well, what does that mean about what you think? I want to be held accountable for what I say and what I do, rather than this idea that we're so stuck in cancel culture that all of us agreed was a bad idea back in 2020, but we seem to want to bring back.
Yeah, so unfortunately, this is not about cancel culture. This is about someone who has said things that he hasn't disavowed that he should own because they're documented on a regular basis. Now, I think that was part of the interview that Kristen Welker did. It was the tale of two Sunday morning shows, because Margaret Brennan on CBS, and this is maybe even more ironic because Barry Weiss is in charge. She's just the worst. She is just awful and embarrassing and should not be in that position. But Kristen Welker decided to ask him a question, some serious questions about this.
You faced scrutiny for campaigning with socialist streamer Hassan Piker, who has made a series of inflammatory comments, as you well know, including saying America deserved 9/11, describing Hamas as a lesser evil than Israel. Do you plan to continue to campaign with Hassan Piker in the general election campaign?
Now, again, let's keep in mind, everything that she just said there, that's documented. That's not something, he's going to try to say was taken out of context. There's no way you can take Hassan Piker out of context. All you have to do is listen to any of his interviews. He's very, very clear on his positions. In fact, he was pretty clear last week after, half the state of Michigan did not vote for him. Haley Stevens was their choice. He basically called all of those voters Islamophobes because they wouldn't vote for his candidate.
Look, I'm less concerned now with who I'm campaigning with, a lot more concerned about who I'm campaigning to. We got a lot of work to do to continue to build the coalition that's going to be Mike Rogers.
Would you welcome him, though? On the campaign trail with
Like I said, I'm a lot more focused on who I'm campaigning to. So
yeah, he's not, this is what they do. They don't answer the questions. Mamdani does this. Well, look, a lot of politicians do this, but that's a pretty specific question.
I think we have this notion sometimes on shows like this that we cannot or should not talk to certain groups of people. And I'll tell you that the 3 million people who listen to Hassan are people I want to make sure understand that there's a pathway into our politics around getting money out of politics so we can keep money back in pockets and pass Medicare for all. And so I'm going to continue to have the conversations with those folks who we desperately need to reach out to, just like I'm going to continue to have conversations with seniors in senior homes, folks up north, folks in Detroit, folks in Grand Rapids. So again, I'm a lot more focused on who I'm campaigning to rather than who I might campaign with.
Yeah, so that's going to be, I guess, his answer throughout, which is just weak. Look, you have, examples of this. I suppose you can flip it around. You could say Nick Fuentes, Proud Boys. I mean, I don't associate with them at all. White supremacists, they like to drag them into the conversation. That would be like, Josh Hawley or another senator, Bernie Moreno in Ohio saying, okay, we're going to just campaign alongside Nick Fuentes. Wait a second. He's kind of a repulsive white supremacist who said crazy things. Why would you want to do that? Well, I'm more interested in the people that, are out there that I'm trying to appeal, even though he's a despicable human being. So I'm going to stand next to that despicable human being. And here's the very significant difference on that. Now, I'll give her credit because she's asking the question. But for the most part, here's, I think, what you look at moving forward. Will Kristen Welker be the last person that asks that question? Or will they keep pressing him? Because it doesn't seem like Hassan Piker is not going to be there alongside him. But think about that. That's like someone saying, like David Duke or David or Nick Fuentes or any of these guys, you know what? They have millions of followers that I want to appeal to their horrible nature as well. Republican candidates would never get away with that because CNN would be hammering them nonstop. NBC asks one question. We'll see if they keep it up, which is interesting. Now, we also have a fascinating situation. There's a bunch of states that go to the ballot box tomorrow. Wisconsin, or as I like to call it, the People's Republic of Wisconsin, because I lived up there for a good time. Wisconsin's beautiful, except for Moscow in the middle, Madison, Wisconsin. But they have a nut job, Francesca Hong, who is running for governor, a DSA candidate, and she's been leading in the polls. She's also the person who said, well, at first she didn't like Thanksgiving. Now it's her favorite holiday. She can't keep her stories straight. Jessica McBride, one of my old friends from Milwaukee, who's a reporter up there, is going to join us with details coming up. Plus, I'll have audio cut of the day.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Accident eastbound 255 on just the Illinois side, a little bit past it, on the JB Bridge, and that has created a jam behind it. Southbound 170 slowing at 64. 64 westbound, it looks like it's mainly slow, Kings Highway out through McCausland. Eastbound, some slow pockets approaching 270. That goes through Big Bend. We have a game tonight, and that's partially what's going on there. Now, eastbound 70, a little slow at 141 and past the airport. Out west, it's not bad. 40 is slowing at the 70 split. And on the Illinois side, 64 eastbound jams approaching 159 due to road work. This report brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Point Pest Control is reminding you it's time to spray for mosquitoes. How can something that tiny interrupt your outside gatherings? Have Point Pest Control spray today so your next outside gathering is mosquito-free. 636-798-0023. Mention Annie to save an additional 10%. PointPestControl.com.
Spring is here in St. Louis, and if you're thinking about selling, now's the time. But timing is only part of it. Hey, it's Mark Cox, and I'm with Gloria Liu, your home sold guaranteed realty. Gloria, why is it still so important to choose the right realtor?
Simple. Not every home is selling fast or for top dollar. Here's the difference. I already have the buyers. With over 2,400 buyers in waiting, I'm not just listing your home, I'm matching it with demand. That's how I offer my guaranteed sale program. We sit down, agree on the price and timeline, and if your home doesn't sell, I'll buy it myself. But my goal isn't to buy your home, it's to sell it for the most money possible in the least amount of time. And that's exactly what my system does. My clients don't have to hope their home sells. I guarantee it.
If you're selling your home this spring, call the one I trust, Gloria Liu, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. If you or anyone in your family has been injured in a car accident, call us now, as the time to file a claim may be limited. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before, protecting America, fighting for you. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial #law.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results of
afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
If you haven't had your roof checked in the last 5 years, it's time for roof maintenance. Mark Cox here for my friends at Corel Roofing Company. Listen, Curtis is going to come out, or a member of his crew, and get up on your roof for free to see what's going on. If you've got damage, I can't think of anyone better to work with your insurance adjuster to get that coverage. Recently, Curtis went to bat for one of his customers and got her coverage from 2024 storm damage with 2024 deductibles. He works hard at this and he prides himself, and he took his whole crew to Kansas City recently for additional training working with adjusters to make sure you get what you deserve. Corel Roofing has crews with over 20 years of experience, and it doesn't matter what kind of shingles you need, they've got you covered. 314-222-9529. That's 314-222-9529. Tell them Mark sent you. Go to CorelRoofingCo.com.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
5:33. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
From Festus to Freeburg, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I think I have to introduce my next guest in a little bit of a different way, because mainly we're going to talk about Wisconsin politics. But as the audience knows, I'm fascinated sometimes by stories that involve insects.
It's time for Insect News.
All right, Jessica McBride, longtime friend and colleague, reporter in Wisconsin. You're going to talk politics, but you were stung by like 24 wasps yesterday. Is this true?
Yes, 25. I actually am not sure if they were wasps or hornets, but it was horrific. It's actually comical in a way, because I was pulling some brush out. I didn't see the hive or whatever it is,
Right.
and they swore me. They were up my shirt. They were in my hair. I was running, screaming around the backyard.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I mean, I went to the emergency room just because everybody had to, just as a precaution, and urgent care was closed. It was a Sunday. And they gave me pain meds and looked at them. And they said, this is interesting, they said they only really get concerned about, it being fatal or something if people get stung by more than 50.
So you only have the 25 mark,
horrible.
right? Yeah.
Only 25. I mean, they're on my chin, they're on my legs, my back. It's horrible, and I'm in a little bit of pain, but it's an important primary coming up tomorrow, so I'm happy to talk to you and your listeners.
You are a trooper. We love that. Well, here's a crazy person that's on the ballot tomorrow.
I had some hot takes, some bad takes on Twitter, but when you're a business owner running a restaurant during COVID, you are trying to pay bills, as stated. You're putting feelings out there to the world, but I've evolved, I've learned. I think it's more dishonest not to learn.
Okay, Jessica McBride. In fairness, selfishly, I might want her to win because she seems like another gift that keeps on giving. But what in the hell are you putting on the ballot there for the Democrats in Wisconsin tomorrow?
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so first of all, that was Francesca Hong. She is a, self-declared Democratic Socialist, a member of DSA. This is the crazy group that Mom Donnie is part of as well in New York. And when she's talking about, I was just misspeaking or what, I just put these hot takes. No, for years she's been writing things like abolish the police, abolish the Senate. She's a self-declared anti-capitalist. She wrote that she had an anxiety attack while dining at Culver's, that's a fast food restaurant, with her son because there were a bunch of old white people in the room. So she lied to her son that they were out of ice cream so she could flee this restaurant. To be honest with you, it goes on and on and on. She's a dues-paying member of DSA, which you can go on its website and you can see their plan, and they are calling for abolishing of the Senate. They actually want to abolish the presidency and have the president be appointed by a singular congressional body. They are against capitalism, with, it appears to me, the ultimate goal being the elimination of private property rights. This is
Nope, we lost her there for a second. We lost your. If you can hear me, Jessica, we kind of lost you right at the end there. There we go. Okay, now you're back.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we just lost you there at the end a little bit.
Yeah.
But
really.
she's out there on the fringe of a lot of these issues. So how did she get to the point where she is? Because the lieutenant governor of Wisconsin is a guy by the name of Mandela Barnes. Wasn't he one of the candidates? Was he kind of shooed out of this race?
Well, here's how she got where she is. The field is incredibly fractured. We have a pretty popular Democratic governor. He's far left from me, but Wisconsinites kept electing him, named Tony Evers. But he is stepping down. He's retiring. Okay, so first of all, it's an open seat. And then all of these candidates ran, and nobody really emerged, as this sort of, front runner.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about Mandela Barnes. This case has been crazy. Lieutenant Mandela Barnes quit the race after these crazy stories came out, allegations about him and women, and then suddenly he quit the race. The current lieutenant governor is a woman named Sarah Rodriguez. She quit the race after a flurry of crazy accusations about her campaign finance reports. And so the two candidates that probably had the best chance, other than Francesca Hahn, quit under these clouds of scandals. So it's left. And there's still some candidates in it vying for the establishment lane. It's just completely fractured. And that's giving her an opportunity, to win the primary. Now, I'm going to predict, by the way, that she does win. I think she's also captured the fancy of the far left, in Wisconsin. And, college students, they see her on TikTok. She's talking about affordability, and she's capturing the fancy of the sort of the radical left, and people that are angry at, the system, and in this case, the Democratic establishment. However, Wisconsin, as you know, is a purple state, and what it will take to win a general election against the likely Republican nominee, Tom Tiffany, will be a very different question than winning a Democratic primary.
What is Tony Evers just choosing not to run again, or do you guys have a term limit? I can't remember.
No term limit, just he's old, he's in his 70s, choosing not to run again. Now, at the last minute, he came out and he endorsed the Milwaukee County executive, a man named David Crowley,
right,
in a last-ditch bid to stop Francesca Hahn from winning the primary. Now, the weird part is that Crowley had already quit the race after Lieutenant Governor Rodriguez.
I didn't know that.
She seemed like she was gaining steam. He quits the race. Then all of a sudden, all these accusations come out about her crazy campaign finance report problems. And then she quits. And so then he gets back in the race. And then Mandela Barnes quits. And now you have Evers swooping in at the last minute, trying to desperately get Crowley over the line. But the problem is he did it too late. And tens of thousands of people have already voted.
Right, yeah. So that's a factor, too. Right. So then your best guess at this point, the polling indicates that Francesca Hahn will likely be the Democrat. Does Tom Tiffany have any serious opposition there, or is he's pretty much a lock to be the Republican?
He'll win the Republican nomination. He has a nominal primary opponent. The guy's not. He'll get 2% or something. So it will be Tom Tiffany. He's a congressman, arch conservative congressman from northern Wisconsin. Huge contrast here. Now, I think Francesca wins the primary because she has been way ahead of all of these fractured establishment candidates in the limited polling that exists. So then what you will see happen is a story with great national attention because it will be Tom Tiffany attempting to drive a stake through the heart of the spread of socialism in the American heartland and in a battleground state, no less. It'll be a huge national
We'll have
story.
A couple of those northern states, I believed, involved in similar action, wouldn't you say? Because Michigan is going to be fast. I mean, what is your take right now? I just played some audio earlier where, and politicians are great at this, but you have El Sayed not really distancing himself from Hassan Piker. I'm sure he's come in. He came in here for Cori Bush, who got her butt whipped last week, but he's probably come in for Francesca Hahn as well, right?
Oh, yes. She went on his podcast, and she's not hiding any of this. She brought him on stage, Hassan Piker, on stage at a rally the other day. And, they're standing there together, all these pictures. He was also raising money for her. Now, as your listeners probably know, Hassan Piker has a lengthy list of just horrific things that he said about 9/11, about Jewish people. It goes on. And so it's profoundly dangerous and disturbing. That being said, I know conservatives who are crossing over to vote for Hong because it's widely believed that she's Tom Tiffany's best chance because of all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's the Todd Aiken strategy that Claire McCaskill employed years ago, and it's sometimes pretty effective because, look, as crazy as some of the folks in Wisconsin are, there's a lot of people because it is a purple state. Look, it's a weird state. I always tell people that. It's very hard, to describe Wisconsin. You got Tony Evers as kind of a crazy liberal, but Ron Johnson's been able to survive and hang on as United States Senator when I think most people didn't think that would happen given, the makeup of the state. But you'd have to think that sanity will prevail here if it's Tom Tiffany and Francesca Hong, right?
Well, I know some Democrats who say if it's Francesca Hong, they won't vote. I know a couple independents who usually vote for Democratic candidates who told me they'll vote for Tom Tiffany if it's Hong, but if it's any other Democrat, they'll vote for the Democrat. There was a poll that came out that showed that 12% of Democratic primary voters said they were either leaning against voting for Hong or they wouldn't vote for Hong or they'd sit home. That's the election right there. I mean, we're talking about Democratic primary voters. They're not even independents. Wisconsin has a big chunk of independent voters, and they kind of swing both ways. And they do like people like Ron Johnson or even Evers, who are a little bit folksy. They kind of use this authentic Wisconsin kind of charm.
Right.
Even Evers, who's kind of a goofy guy, but he's kind of this normal guy that looks like your middle school principal, and he goes around and he fishes, tries to fish anyway, and fixes potholes. And Wisconsin kind of likes that kind of a persona. I don't think Wisconsin is going to choose in a general election a radical revolutionary socialist who wants to abolish capitalism.
I don't either. I don't see it happening, but crazier things maybe have happened. Jessica McBride, thank you for coming on here. I hope that you are healing up from the wasp or the super hornet or wherever the hell attacked you yesterday, but that is a crazy story.
Thank you.
What's funny about that is I was telling this story earlier. I was doing a little cleaning in my patio area, and I have this tarp over my firewood, and I saw something on it. I'm like, what is that? And as I got closer, it was a very tiny wasp's nest, nothing like you encountered. There were only 4, and luckily I killed them before they got me, but good luck in your recovery.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, take care, Jessica. Keep us posted. All right, we'll see you.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Sue, you missed it. I actually got to play insect news again because I was talking to her about the bites.
Nicely done.
I didn't miss on that one.
Okay.
There you go.
If you are headed to the game tonight, it's Phillies in town. We've got eastbound 64 lining up. It's not too bad. It's approaching 170 through Big Bend. Westbound, some moderate volume on either side of Hampton. Eastbound 70, a little slow at 141. And there was an accident east of Lindbergh that delayed things. And then things open up and look okay. Southbound 170, still pretty busy at 64. Out west, 70 eastbound, there was an accident near 79 that caused a delay. Westbound is in good shape. And westbound 64 is slow. It's mainly right there at Prospect. And other than that, it's not too bad. But we have a jam still on eastbound 255 on the JB Bridge, an accident on the Illinois side there. And we've got eastbound 64, slow 157 to 159. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. And we want to congratulate them. It's their 50-year anniversary. And you don't stay in business that long by not supplying quality products and outstanding service. They have a great staff. Contact Barron Mirror Glass and Door today and let them show you what 50 years is just a start. Sue Thomas with traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Whew. That was perfect. That was just perfect. Right at the sounder there. All right, tomorrow night I'll be zipping out of here, going to the baseball game tonight. Tomorrow night, a little different situation. Hitting the road right afterwards to go to Chesterfield and the DoubleTree by Hilton, which is right there off of 6440 and Swingley Ridge Road. It's an awesome place to have a seminar with the team from the Retirement Advisory Group. And Bob and Tammy Kershaw will be there tomorrow night. Mark and Annie and I will be there kind of doing a little meet and greet. They usually get there a little before I do because of the traffic. And we'll say hi and we'll do some intros and give out some T-shirts. And then Bob and Tammy will take over, and they'll teach you how to guard your retirement, ways to preserve your money in a very shifting economy. That's, different than it would be even 10 years ago when inflation wasn't as big of an issue. So the laddering and maintaining a balanced portfolio. They'll look at your, refinancing opportunities and what might be the consequences of that. They take everything, Social Security benefits, if you have pensions, all of that into play to create a worry-free retirement. You can always go in one-on-one to the office. But if you'd like to show up tomorrow night, register. It's a free event. Call 314-993-9494 or online, retirementkey.com. You'll see the tab right on top of the page. And we'll see you tomorrow night in Chesterfield.
We're here to celebrate America's 250th birthday in 2026. This is 97.1 FM Talk. America 250 is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, Dad, what causes drains to clog?
Grease, hair, soap scum, and tree roots.
Tree roots?
This town has old pipes and big trees. They find each other.
They grow inside pipes?
They bust into pipes.
Whoa.
Once they're in, the water stops flowing.
Can we fix it?
The big green grasser machine can fix any clog.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
ZipRecruiter.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's best eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The Mark Reardon Show is St. Louis conservative.
All right, I have audio cut of the day coming up here in just a couple of minutes, but I'm just going to tell you that I am shocked by this story that Frank Cusumano shared a little bit earlier this afternoon on the show, and this is something that I guess has gone viral. Somehow I missed this, and I don't know how because I'm into the golfing world, but this happened at Winghaven Country Club. ESPN and other outlets have covered this. An amateur golfer has resigned from his membership at a St. Louis area club after admitting to a non-viral cheating scandal in which he faked making a hole-in-one. So this guy's name is Zach Holland. It says he's a former collegiate golfer who is a 2 handicap. So that means he's very good, right?
Yes.
He's basically almost a scratch golfer. He went on ESPN radio on Friday, and he told the story. I guess he admitted he placed his golf ball in the cup at the par 3 fourth hole before the start of a membership event at Winghaven. He lied about acing the hole during the tournament. He offered the ball as proof of a hole-in-one to his playing partner. So what happened was, and what he said the other day was, you do something as dumb as I did, there are consequences for that, and there certainly are. They kicked him out of the club. But he's being, I think, attacked worldwide for this right now.
Yeah.
So,
but he also said his kids are being attacked, and his wife, he just
you don't want that. But
let's calm down.
So, they do these member guests, and they also do members, and there's money on the line, right? So they did a member tournament. And this guy's good if he's a 2 handicap, right? But they also have hole-in-one prize pots, all right? So the reason this worked for this guy is he was in the first group, because if you're not in the first group and you're going to the hole, you're going to find a ball in the cup, and you're going to say, whose ball is that, right? So he said that he told his playing partners, and Frank was telling me this story an hour ago, he needed to take a personal phone call, allegedly regarding his mortally ill grandmother. So they played the 4th hole. In order to keep up with pace of play, he says, I'm going to tee off on 4 ahead of you, and I'll meet you on the green because I have to make this call. So he reunites with the group. He says, I thinned my shot, but I didn't see where it ended up. And then they roll up on the hole, and they find out that it's a hole-in-one. They're celebrating, but then they contact the superintendent. So apparently there's cameras out there at Wing Haven. Not every golf club has cameras, but there was. And they saw video of this dude driving near the fourth green with a cart well before his scheduled tee time. And he ultimately had admitted to club officials that he faked the hole-in-one. He resigned his membership. He said, there's no excuse for what I did. I was completely in the wrong. There's really no motivation, just complete stupidity. And we were given 2 shots back to the field, so that's not an excuse. There's no excuse for what happened. He said that his family has received online threats. And he also insisted he's not a cheater on the golf course. I made a bad decision. I have to suffer the consequences. I'm trying to move forward as best I can. It's been rough. It's hard for me to believe that this has never happened before. I'm sorry, but that's the part. I don't think his wife and kids deserve any kind of but he does. And I think that probably what I've heard now is that they're looking at other tournaments and some other things are coming forward. So I don't think the worst has happened for this guy, but that is just especially when you're a good golfer. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he thought it would work because, he is such a good golfer and a hole-in-one would be more likely. I don't know. But not a smart thing to do. It's good fodder, though, I'll tell you that much.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
So, you get these people that are asked about the situation in the WNBA when they have to think through the plot. I think they struggle just a little bit. This is a guy named John Root who goes out there with a microphone sometimes. This was a fan asking him about, now you have 2 NBA players, former NBA players, Enes Kanter Freedom and Royce White, who want to declare for the WNBA draft.
The truth is trans women are women, and so if they would like to play women's sports, then that would be something that they should do as women.
A few former NBA first-round picks came out yesterday and declared for the WNBA draft. Are you supportive of them?
Yeah, so if they truly were trans, then I would be perhaps supportive of them, but they're not.
Who determines who's really a woman, though?
I would say I would love to see them play against Asia Wilson and beat her. I doubt they would. So thank you so much.
They would. Asia Wilson wouldn't even be able to move on the court with a guy. Royce White is 6'8". Okay,
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to end well. And then I haven't heard this one, but it's just probably going to make me laugh. Fred loads audio in here and the producers all day, and there's not often a time when I, hit a clip that I haven't heard. Every once in a while, though, something intrigues me. And apparently, Joe Scarborough, who has fed the trough of socialism on MSNBC or MS Now for years, all of a sudden he's fed up with the DSA.
I don't need people telling me. Oh, you have to just turn a blind eye to people saying that women getting raped on October 7th didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. No, Americans aren't going to support that. This is not about me. This is about the Democrats, once again, fumbling the football on the 2-yard line when they have a chance to make great gains, but being so woke, I don't know if you want to call it woke 1, woke 2, or woke 3, but being too woke to call out the obvious. I swear to God. It's crazy that we're even having this conversation.
I mean, that's pretty spot on. And he's right about all that. But where the hell was that guy 4 years ago or 3 years ago or 2 years ago? Just full of crap. All of a sudden now, because it's a threat for the Democrats, he's all outraged by it. But that's what you get on MS Now.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Headed to the game tonight. 70 is a little bit slow at 79. That was due to an accident. 64 is mainly slowing on either side of 170. I think it's a little warm tonight. And 255 eastbound is jammed. There was an accident on the Illinois end of the JB Bridge, and that has caused a delay. Also on the Illinois side, eastbound 64, slowing 157 through 159. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I was thinking about my carpet just a little bit over the weekend, doing some house projects and thinking about how good the flooring looks in 3 different rooms because Mike Reynolds and his team from Michael's Flooring Outlet helped us get rid of some carpeting upstairs and a couple of the bedrooms, my daughter's bedroom. And then, as the story goes, I come home that weekend when they installed it, there was a good, I don't want to say it was a pallet, but there was a good pile of flooring that was left. And we originally had talked about doing a different project in my basement, and that's where I keep my bunny hutch. And I thought, Mike, Is that an area where we can kind of cut off the carpet just a little bit and put the hard flooring in? And it was, and it looks tremendous. We did that whole thing on a budget. You can too. You go to igotfloor.com, check out the offerings that they have for you either online or in one of the 3 great locations. They're located in Old Town St. Peters, Darting Prairie, and in West County on Olive. But again, that website, you can get so much done. You can look for inspiration, order samples. Go into one of the stores, though, if you want the experts. You're not getting big box store experience. You're getting absolutely top-notch flooring experience. 3 stores open every day except for Sunday. igotfloor.com.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some